That one was spicy.
So the Warriors have to play 48 minutes.
So I think it's going 7. I have it. I have the Nuggets in 7.
Ant-Man, Batman, Watchmen, Lakers at 5.
It's money time now.
All right, guys. What's up, YouTube? What's going on, YouTube? Man, bro. Apologies for the late start. I know I'm about 45 minutes late. Your brother was having technical difficulties. Man, oh my God, my phone is still not charging, man. I got a Samsung. I got a series Samsung. And today of all days, all of a sudden it's telling me I got moisture in my charging point, man. So I've been fighting with it for the last so and so. And then my mom just came to town, so but yeah, I'm gonna try to soldier through, man. I'm trying to soldier through. It is what it is. Got a little something going on right now. Trying to see my boy JB because I haven't been able to communicate or nothing. CW just hit me up. His mic ain't working or whatever because he's on the road. Look, man, happy 4th to everybody. Happy 4th to everybody. I want to do this because I guess this is an important subject, right? Everybody's favorite dynamic duo of all time. We've been talking about dynamic duos and hypotheticals and stuff like that. But everybody's all-time favorite dynamic duo, Mike and Scottie, and this is pretty much where the term sidekick came from. You know what I'm saying? But try to hit my boy JB up because show alone. We're gonna try to soldier through, man. I might have to get JB to raise at some point. Okay, I got 2% now. So I got 2%, man. I ain't go front, man. I lost my original charger last week in Orlando, man, in the goddamn Walmart. Like 1 million people at the Disneyland Walmart. Lost my original charger, so now I'm dealing with these goddamn Five Below chargers, bro. I keep it a stack up here, man. I'll probably go have to order something through Amazon for real. But yeah, man. Right now I'm doing everything through the phone. I do my best. You know, I am looking to have a better setup soon. But at the end of the day, man, what we do up here, we talk sports. But JB should be up here in 10 minutes. But yeah, we want to talk about the level setting of Scottie Pippen, man, because I think I've always said this my whole time since seeing Scottie Pippen. First time I ever heard of Scottie Pippen was 1989, Brooklyn, New York. I was a baseball player, man. We played baseball on the block. We would play pretty much stick ball, but we played baseball on the block. But down the block, the bigger kids used to have the basketball hoop. So obviously kids go outside. You start playing, doing your thing, man. Yeah, Woodage. Yeah, shout out to Woodage, the resident Bull fan, the real Bull fan. So few of y'all out here, man. But the Last Dance did break Pippen. It's just Pippen it with the ego. It's like, bro, you had a great career, and he had a better career than I must say, because I really looked at the numbers. Pippen, again, the first time I ever heard Scottie Pippen's name was 1989. This point, 1988, 89. This point, I'm really new to watching basketball. Up until then, I've been a baseball watcher from 86, 87, 88. It was everything New York Mets. That's all I cared about. Mets. 86 season, 87 season, 88 season. I'm like 9 years old, 10 years old. I watching the Mets every day. You know what I'm saying? But I knew about Michael Jordan. I knew I knew the Knicks a little bit. And I knew, okay, Scottie Pippen was that second guy on the Bulls. So people started calling his name Scottie Pip. I thought his name was Scottie Pip, right? I didn't know until I really started watching basketball a little bit later into that year. that it was Scottie Pippen, right? So, again, this is the 88-89 season going to the summer. Scottie Pippen made a name for himself around 89. Fast forward to 93, about 4 years later, you know, Michael Jordan had to retire, obviously, from that summer. Didn't have to, but he chose to, right? Everybody got their alleged reasons. For me, again, we all know why Mike retired, but at the end of the day, Scottie Pippen had a chance to be the man. And this is the thing, right? Yeah, people call him the greatest two. I think that's the issue, right? The fact that they call him the greatest number two of all time, which he could, you're right, he could compliment any number one, but he had a chance to be the compliment number one. He had a chance to be the number one. It goes back to anybody y'all watch Sopranos, right? When Tony got shot by Julian in the beginning of season 6, right? The first part of season 6, Silvio Dante had to take over. And it was pretty much after 3 episodes where Tony was in a coma and goddamn Silvio wound up in the hospital himself with a goddamn asthma attack. You learn that some people are better at being number twos than being number ones.
Okay, so maybe
Right. Some people. Okay. So some people are being better at number twos than number ones. And, I think that was Scottie. Scottie was a very good complimentary player. Rap guard asking, was T-Mac better than number two? That, he definitely had number one skill set. He definitely had number one tendencies. It depends on the team makeup. It really depends on the team makeup. See, look, so when I go back and look at Scottie's numbers, his best offensive numbers was in the triangle system, right? Let's keep it 100. Outside of the triangle system, I don't think he averaged over 15 points a game. He might have averaged 16. I think he might have averaged 16 the year they had Doug Collins. I think so. So there could be some truth to that, where Scottie could have been a number one. Like he wasn't as bad outside of, but see, again, the back situation come 98, it might be a little unfair to judge him, but bro, Scottie was on a mission to prove himself. So when he went to Houston in 99, again, Charles Barkley famously said, I was expecting that Scottie Pippen I played against all these years to show up. And, Scottie was a diminished product. Again, it was a new normal for him. That's the thing. Scottie was an iffy shooter. Scottie didn't have a deep dribble game, right? Scottie wasn't particularly great at posting up. He wasn't the greatest posting up as you would think, right? Hold on 1 second, guys. So, Scottie, and that's the thing, man, right? So I bring up the offense Yeah, man, it got quiet. I got brother got something going on over here. Got family in the house. We trying to figure things out. It's been a crazy day, but at the end of the day, like Scotty tried. Scotty had to figure out what what his game was, right? Like he didn't have a deep bag. You weren't going to him too many times to too many post up. You know, Scotty was the epitome of an all around player. The epitome of an all around player, and it was told like Rob was on here. My boy Rob from from Oakland was on here last, and he said Scotty was more like Magic. I don't think my thing is I don't think you know the whole situation with Scotty is the whole situation with Scotty is again you had he wanted to be like Magic, but see my thing is Magic had, and I always say this, Magic had a bag where he could go for 40 something points. I think Magic was more smoother, right? Scotty wasn't a guy that the great all around player that he was, the great all around player that he was, it just wasn't smooth. And Phil Jackson alluded to this a lot of the times, things like that. I guess it was like he had a ceiling to his game. And when the idea is, well, if Scotty got more shots, Scotty would have been there. Scotty was never. Certain guys are just not built to be that 25, 26, 27 guys, and that's fine. And I think that's one of these things is like was Bill Russell was never built to be that guy, right? Yeah, you'll have a night where he gets 20, 30, right? JB on there. What's up, JB?
What's up, bro?
What's going on, man?
Going on?
Yeah, man, I had a hard time starting the stream because I'm phone towards the charger for a minute. Damn. Right. It happened every now and then with this phone, but
Yeah, I'm trying to go on here.
say again?
The volume is kind of low.
Yeah, you know what you gotta do? Make sure the volume in your like when you click on settings, okay, your audio, but then you gotta make sure you gotta make sure your the browser volume is up because that's what I know you like. Well, I'm sure when you at work, you turn it down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in StreamYard will go by how you have your browser set, like how you have your overall phone set up. So when you clicking up and down, yeah. So sorry for the technical difficulties, man. Like I said, I got a lot of people going on. Family here don't realize that I'm late starting the stream and this and that. I told them that, but they act like they don't know. But that's family for you. But so can you hear me back? Can you hear me good? JB. All right. He'll figure it out. But yeah, man, like I wanted to get into a couple other things, right? I wanted to get into the Mike Brown news and all of that.
Oh
With the
yeah, how
Knicks.
you feel about that?
Yeah, man. Again, a good move. Good move. Like
Right.
it could have been worse. I mean, obviously they felt. See, the good part about it as a Knicks fan is that the Knicks and everybody feel that this is win now. This is win or bust. And so they felt like a guy like Mike Brown can handle the situation, and it wouldn't be fair to ask a new, first time head coach win a championship again. So Mike Brown probably came in there all motivated. Mike Brown is a big top tier cheerleader, speak his mind type, and I like that. I think that's what the Knicks need. I think the Knicks need a direct communicator. I really think with Tibbs everybody just saying that we've hired a new Tibbs. I really think with Tibbs, everybody like he got passive aggressive at the end, right? Thibodeau used to be in his younger days with the Bulls. He used to be a little bit fiery, right?
Yeah.
You didn't see that fire. Like what Mike Brown is fire. Like you look at the clips, Mike Brown is like person in practice. So I like that stuff, man. That's what the Knicks need to get cooking the ass, especially to realize the sense of urgency that this team got a chance to be the first team in 52 years. 50 gonna be 53 years next year, right? By the time next finals come to bring a championship to New York. So the organization is on point. Mike Brown has been there. He's been successful everywhere he's gone. Don't tell me the situation in LA and the situation in Cleveland. You know, it felt. You know what? It felt like the situation felt like. Hold on one second. Yo, hold on, JB. I mean, you could shoot on it. The Scottie Pippen stuff if you can. I'll be right back. Yo. You still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I got. Listen, my son was running out the door. I got family that came in, so we trying to
Oh, so,
figure everything going on at once, bro. Man, I had 3 hours to prepare for the show. I had slides, I had goddamn graphics and everything, man. And things. Sometimes things just work the way they work, bro. But anyway, all right. So I'm getting back to the Mike Brown hire. Nah, man, it was again. I don't like. I gave it a. You saw I gave it a B. Right, Knicks Fan TV took the poll. I gave it a B. Was it the great? I don't. Again, I didn't think there was any great. Like it wasn't no Pat Riley out there, bro. Right. So and again, it's hard to get. You never know. This might be Mike Brown's best chance, and I think it's going to work. Right. It's going to be his best chance. It's going to be our best chance. And I think we might need this is gonna be I think this is gonna be the best roster he's coached. Top to bottom, if we make another couple moves, what we can do if we get another couple good players that Phil needs in the vet minimum stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like this roster will definitely be front runners in the East, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think Mike Brown offensively, he's learning. I think that's the thing with Tibbs. Offensively, Tibbs is what he is. I think Mike Brown has been again being around Golden State, being a Popovich disciple, stuff like that. Coaching the great like he's coached LeBron, he's coached Kobe, he's coached Steve Nash. Albeit for 5 games. Right, that's when they fired him because of I guess the expectations rose, right, and then they went to Mike D'Antoni and not Phil Jackson. And the idea was they were supposed to go to Phil Jackson. And I think Jim Buss, remember back with y'all, right? Jim Buss didn't want Phil back in the what's name because at the time he was dating Jeannie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they swerved it and went to Mike D'Antoni like, oh look, yeah, oh yeah, Phil, you think you voted my sister? That just because you voted my sister, you got the job. No, they went to Mike D'Antoni route, and the rest was history on that. Mike D'Antoni had the Kobe situation, got hurt. Then he had another couple of seasons, and I told y'all back then, Mike D'Antoni is a hack. Okay, I still think Mike D'Antoni is a hack, but that's just me. So no, Mike Brown got another chance with
Yeah, because
Cleveland.
he got I think he got shafted in Sacramento.
He got shafted in Sacramento and Cleveland and the Lakers. To be honest, I did. He got fired 4 times, right? I think he got shafted
fired twice
all
in
4
Cleveland.
places. And see, this is the funny part, man. I don't want to start in with anybody that's LeBron fans. I don't want to start in. Mike Brown obviously had the 66 win, 61. So that looks well on his record, right? But like with anybody else, you got to strike it from the record because it was with LeBron. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. Yeah, they said Kobe got him fired. I get. Yeah, I think Kobe liked Mike Brown. I think he liked he's a direct communicator. He's not one of them guys that's going, say one thing to you in practice and then say some other shit to the media. Now I don't know what happened with him and Swipe or De'Aaron Fox, but um, you know, again, you talk about a guy. If I'm in Sacramento, he gave me 2 winning seasons. They hadn't won. They hadn't had a winning season since Chris Webber was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was that? 05, 06? So getting them to the playoffs for the first time since 05, it shows you that he's a good coach. I think they feel it's a lateral move. Also, salute to So Crazy TV, man. I want to look at you. I saw you reacted to some of the stuff that we talked about the other night. I was telling my partner JB, he wasn't here, but we had a crazy discussion, man. We had a crazy discussion. It went all over the place. Did you? How much of the stream did you get to listen to, JB?
What was that? Wrote that last part.
How much of the stream did you get to listen to? The Tuesday stream.
Oh, I was able to. I got about an hour in.
Okay. Yeah. So you got some good stuff because me and what's the name and that's when FYI pulled up and was So, but anyway,
they said they rolled up in there, huh?
Yeah, they rolled up in there and they tried to act like, oh, why y'all talking about the Lakers? We talking about free agency, and then we segued into the world of hypotheticals, and we start me and Rob was just listening to all the what ifs, and again, it's a million what ifs. What if Scottie never got traded to on draft night? What if this? What if that? Again, it is what it is. So with the Knicks news, anything also, so how you feel about DeAndre Ayton? Because you know how it is. The Lakers gonna make it out to be. I'm looking at it this way. He could be Greg Oden, or he could be he could be Andre Drummond. I'm trying to think of a big man move that worked out for LeBron and Lakers and whatever. He's not gonna be AD. Let's keep it a stack there. He does have a mid range, so he does have a mid range little jump shot. Will he be motivated or will he be a mess up? Because that's Ayton got a reputation of being a mess up, being aloof, being lazy. Do you think it's going like really pay any dividends?
Well, all I can say is the situation surrounding the team is very chaotic. And usually when that happens, nothing good comes out of it. It turns what the final result is. So it really can go either way in terms of him being effective on the team. They still not gonna win nothing.
Nah, they got. And you know what? They got another hot. They got another hot
for a 1-year deal. So that's probably gonna be their big move, man.
That's it. That's their big move. And Jake LaRavia. Now, I was getting jumped. Yeah, it was a 5-on-1, but no, it didn't go down how you did it. You didn't have your mute button, Mr. Lamont. You didn't have your mute button to just try to. I let you speak. I let you go. I let you go on your soliloquies and everything. But King Rose stood on it because I think again this whole, and I'm glad I'm doing the Scottie Pippen show tonight because we really need to understand. We really need to understand is level setting. Again, the idea that I have Will above Kareem. Well, again, that's because my opinion. I think he was just a better talent and overall player. Kareem had a wonderful career. Again, anybody that's in my top 5 And I'm gonna get on this Magic thing, man. I'm gonna get on this Magic. Hopefully, me and Travis before long, Key Perfect from OJ's Kingdom, we gonna have our Magic versus Shaq debate. I'm gonna just throw one key fact why I have a whole Magic in such high regard, because to me, like when I go to the park or I play basketball, my deal was, yeah, Shaq was killing me, not really. Who's Shaq? Yours? But
Right.
and the thing is, like I stood my ground, because I'm gonna always stand my ground. At the end of the day, this is 10 toes down. This is 10 toes down. What I say today is what I'll say what I'll say next year, what I'll say 15 years from now. The thing is, I say about Scottie, I said years ago. Now I could give Scottie a little bit more credit than I gave him before. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, it was my channel. Yeah, it was my thing with the. Let's keep it. I don't look at the what's the name. Nobody was killing me. People can't. The thing is, bro, when I get to actually speak more than 30 seconds or more, not actually 5 seconds, because y'all, bro, when Peter bags you, and he's always up on your crib, on your show. He asked for 30 seconds to land his plane. Y'all gave him 9 before y'all muted him, and then kicked me backstage. Kicked both of us backstage for me pointing out. You only gave him 9 seconds. Come on, bro. Y'all need to do a little bit better, because, bro, Lamont, you speak for 30 minutes. You give us 9 seconds. 9. But anyway, like I said, it's 10 toes down. I felt like this forever. At the end of the day, I got Kareem in the top 5. Some people that don't, and some people that have him go. I got no problem for people to have him to go. I can make an argument for him to be a go. There's a certain thing. There's certain things. Yes, either you or go to his kingdom. I don't talk to you nowhere else, but down here, you understand what I'm saying? But there was certain places, there's certain things. Like here's the thing. Here's the stat about Magic Johnson that I hold. His worst season was 54-28.
Well, they said that you couldn't lie your way out of the corner.
Yeah. That's why I wanted you to watch more of the show, because at the end, Casual, and a lot of guys came up, and again, we had a great. Again, it was a good
Let me ask
discussion.
you this, Rose, since they listen. I want to ask them. See, my thing is, it seems like I get the impression, as well as these talking heads, I'm talking about the prominent voices out here right now, that I believe is holding the league back. All this talk about with the perception or the how can I say this, the distortion about what they want people to believe today happened in the 90s. It appears to me that they're more fixated with basketball in the 90s, even though they say they done with the 90s. They talk more about the 90s than the fans who grew up watching basketball during that time that actually saw it.
Well,
I'm focused on all this whole playoff. I'm sitting here watching the teams that are in the playoffs. I'm not focused on what happened in the 2010s or the 2000s or the 80s or the 70s or the 90s or the 60s. I'm focused on right now. Let's talk about why Oklahoma City won the championship this year. But it seems like this fascination with Michael Jordan, man, do they realize Michael Jordan, man, that dude be chilling.
Since he's here and watching, hold on, look. Since he's here, you're right, and he be chilling. He don't. Y'all got him more on the mind, and he got y'all on he's on y'all. Mike is living his best life, bro. Mike ain't on basketball channels all the time. He goes to a game, he sits in the corner. He goes to the nephew game, he sits in the corner with his new white wife.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
And when he played in Washington, when he finished his career in Washington, they weren't sitting on TV all the time talking about, the GOAT, MJ the GOAT, MJ the GOAT, MJ the GOAT. They were talking about who the teams were, who was at the top during that time.
Look at the screen, JB. You see this is the first comment on the stream. You see what he said?
The Last Dance broke Pippen.
And that's what it is.
I'm glad someone mentioned that, Rob. I just want to bring this to people's attention. That Last Dance documentary that was really lightweight. Like when you like that documentary really didn't give you the true full-fledged insight of the whole Chicago Bulls experience. When you read books about the Bulls, Scottie Pippen clearly credits Jordan for helping him develop as a player. Pippen said himself, I patterned my game after Jordan. I learned from playing with Michael Jordan.
Learn from practicing.
And
Learn from
practicing, defending that
learn.
man. You
Yeah.
want to know why Pippen was such a great defender? He became such a
Mm-hmm.
great defender because guard the greatest player. In the playoffs, he had to guard the greatest player in practice for 10 years. So therefore, yes, Pippen was a vital contributor to the Bulls' success. It was really an awesome story especially when Jordan came back and Pippen matured as a player to where it became synonymous, Pippen and Jordan, Jordan and Pippen, because the more you win, the more your stats is elevated.
Yep.
So when Jordan came back, he didn't try to take over. He said, this is Scottie's team. Even though Jordan was Jordan, he wasn't the type of person that said, I'm gonna come back, I'm finna take over because of what we did in the past. He said, no, I was gone for 2 years. Scottie led his team for while I was away playing baseball. I have to work my way back.
Back in it.
And he acknowledged Pippen,
I'm a fit in
especially
where I
during the
fit in.
beginning
Yep.
of the 96 season. He said, where Pip at? Pip is the leader. He the captain of the team. I'm just trying to help him win. And then when Jordan got his game back, and when he got his full conditioning back and all that, got his
That's when.
timing down and everything, then Pippen reverted back to what his natural role was. It's really an awesome story when you take away the agendas and you see what they meant to each other. Like Jordan always said, I try to take pressure off him just as much as he take pressure off me. He understood the importance of Pippen, but Jordan was still the number one guy. Pippen was the number two guy.
And you know what kills me, JB. I don't think it's the same way. Kareem and Magic, he was captain. They called him Cap the whole time. When Kareem was still averaging 10 points in his last season, he was still the cap. The experience alone made him the captain. Whether he was now the number one option or number two option, see, nobody ever thought of it like that. No one thought of it like that. Everybody has their roles and everybody does their job.
Everybody, see,
Yeah.
and the thing about like he just said that we are being revisionist about the 90s. No, there's a systematic attempt to discredit basketball of the past. Now they say today's game is that much better. Well, if it's that much better, why feel the need to talk about what happened 30 years ago? Why try to discredit what a man accomplished? I've never seen this in my life. And the thing about it is, at the end of the day, if a man went 6-0 in the championship round and never lost in the championship round on any level that he competed in, it's a reason why that he was undefeated. If you start using logic and say, and the Bulls are not even my favorite team. Everybody know, Ro, you know my favorite team, and you know who my favorite player was. But you have to respect the history of the game. And my thing is, whatever someone thinks, that man retired from the Bulls in 1998. This is 2025. So why are we sitting here trying to revisit it? It's nothing that can be done to change that. It's hard, but it seemed like people don't want to move forward. The people that continue to bring up the past, they really don't want to move forward. And these talking heads that's covering the NBA, they don't want to move forward. They're doing it right now. Oklahoma City just won a championship. They talked about them for 2 days. And it's right back to what can we do? What can be done to help this guy win? And I'm telling you, it's bringing the league down. If
This
a
is
man is
what
losing, he's losing for a reason. The people that's winning are not getting a true recognition. And that's never been done before in the NBA. Before Michael Jordan won this championship, they said in order to be officialized as the game's best player, he had to win.
Why are you looking at me?
And that's the unequivocal stone cold fact. And that was always the standard. Now it's about narratives. It's not about winning. That's what this thing is about. So I just see a deterioration of basketball commentary that we don't see in any other sport. And it's bringing the league down. And I just think the people that's covering the league, they need to move forward, but they don't want to. They don't want to. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, no doubt. And see, that's the thing. That's why I'm so glad that ESPN is. I mean, I'm not ESPN because what's the name just said how ESPN. We gonna drop. Now look, if FYF had FYF, this is a bad night because I'm like I had all type of technical difficulties. But if FYF had responded to me earlier, this show could have been dedicated to him. But it's gonna be dedicated to Pippen, and FYF will get the link, but we gonna get ours off first, man. Because yes, Lamont is a troll. Here's the thing about FYF, and I'm glad some of his people, and you know what I mean. Again, I told Juan Boy, pull up. Juan Boy talk about how he get more reactions in the Go James Kingdom group than I get clicks on it. And I got a small channel, bro. You in there with 123,000 people, most of you, like 90,000 of y'all LeBron sexuals. All right, talking your mess. So he's flexing on me on Facebook because he gets so many likes. Bro, Juan Boy, you ain't okay. You got a little knowledge, but you ain't as smart as you think you is. And the thing is, you need an audience to say what you got to say. I say what I got to say in the middle of nothing. I say what I got. I'll be the one guy in the room that feel a certain way. Now, again, I make revisionist history. I said one thing about Frank Bukowski. When he brought up Frank Bukowski trying to lie, acting like the Sinners of the '92 was weak, right? Even though Moses Malone, he was listing off Sinners of the bad team just to make it. Now look, FYF, you got your critics in my chat too, bro. They know you. See, the problem is you be trying to, and I get it, you're a smart guy, but you try to outsmart people and you condescend people. You think nobody else knows basketball but you. You know what I'm saying? And we know a little something. We know a little bit about the history. You know what I'm saying? You know basketball. You know technical. You're a coach. You know Coach Gargan and all that, right? Not everybody knows that shit. I mean, I can get an idea. I never learned playbooks or nothing like that, but I know the game. I know the game. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to the history of this game, I know what I know. And what I don't know, I learn to find out. Again, a lot of people.
This is what I want to know, bro. This is what I want to know. Okay, see, it's like a lot of these former players, these ex-players, recently retired players, they got their podcast, right?
Yep.
And this would be a great, like Gilbert Arenas, right? Gilbert Arenas played the game. Ain't nobody say he don't know the game. He was a darn good player. He had a very good 4-year run, right? Ain't nobody say he couldn't play. The problem is he can use his platform to expound on true knowledge of the game, X's and O's, strategy.
But he using it for clicks.
But he want to use his platform
for clicks.
For clicks and to say the most whack stuff in the world, and he's bringing the game down.
You know what I like it. You know what I like it. You know what I like it. I know you listen to hip hop a little bit, right? But I know especially down in the Lou, y'all like you some Lil Wayne, right? Like y'all, Lil Wayne is the guy that can make the illest motherfucking bar, and he can make the dumbest bar. Like Lil Wayne, like that's the thing about Lil Wayne. That's Gilbert. Gilbert could act like a savant every now and then, and then he go back to saying the dumb lowbrow shit. That's my opinion, because I seen Gilbert make some very astute points, right? And then I see him say some of the dumbest shit right back. And it's like you going back for the troll bait. You understand what I'm saying? You're going for the troll bait instead of just being honest. I get it. People got to troll. People got to get clicks. That getting click stuff is good for ESPN. I'm glad that NBC is coming in because you see how you said OKC ain't getting the love that they deserve. It's because ESPN is about pushing 3-5 niggas. instead of team. That's what it is. And it's like, again, NBC is very good, was very good. If this game is on our television, we need to tell you who these guys on the Supersonics are, right? That's why I know who Frank Brakowski is. That's why I know who Frank Brakowski is. I said they were not a top 5 team, and FYF cooked them. No, he asked me my reason. See, that's the thing. He can't cook me on my opinion. You can't cook me on my opinion. Now, I made a very astute point about the Bulls not being a top 5 team. I got them at particularly the 6 or 7, depending on how I look at it. Again, when the Bulls won 72 games, and you guys, a lot of LeBron fans, y'all make the thing about them being an expansion in the expansion era, right? So y'all say, oh, teams were losing players, even though teams didn't lose anybody significant. But my thing is, if there was another great team in the league in '96, which there were a few of them, the Bulls only played those teams 2 or 3 times. When I have a team like '86 Celtics and I have a team like 72 Lakers, 60, think about it. 67 Lakers played Bill Russell and them 8, 9 times, at least. What the Bulls will play the team that rivals them 3 or 4 times at most. That's just a real, to me, makes it again, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I've got the Bulls down as not even a top 10 team. I'm actually trying to figure out, and I'll do this. I'll actually really assess this and put them side by side and try to rate, do rankings on my top 10 teams. Because the funny part is, y'all talking about my take, but none of y'all will ever rate y'all top 10 teams of all time, right? You can, again, I get it. You don't want to bring it up to 60 because you don't know enough about the 60s or 70s. But then rate the top 10 times you ever seen. Nobody does that. Y'all will sit there and argue Tim Duncan versus Kareem, Tim Duncan versus Malone, Tim Duncan versus Mike versus whoever, Mike versus LeBron all day. Y'all will never say, okay, you know what? Give me Mike's best team versus LeBron's best team. I asked that many times. I made 3 copies of each. Yes. Okay, so I had Blessing in one pile and me in the other. So yeah, I'll ask what's that? Give me a best team, because at the end of the day, that's kind of really the best way to for me. That's my best way of settling the one-on-one debate. His best team, your best team. No excuses. Who would win? Go there. Nah, people don't got enough imagination. They want to do stuff by look at things, different errors, stats. The game is played completely different. Like LeBron is nowhere near the outside shooter that Jordan was. It's not even close. If you go and look at their shooting form, you would know that Jordan would kill LeBron, smoke LeBron in any shooting contest ever. Okay, so for those that laugh at Jordan only getting 5 in the 3-point shooting contest, has LeBron competed in any of them? Has he competed in this? They wanted him and his son to compete in the skills contest. What did they say? Hey JB, what did they say when they asked him and his son to compete in the skills contest?
You talking about Jordan?
I'm talking about LeBron and Bronny. They wanted him to go on the skill contest.
Oh yeah, like they was too good, right?
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Derek KT Beats. You're right. It is a hypothetical. My last stream was not about using hypotheticals. No, it was not about living in the hypothetical. You're right. The only thing we could do, as I said, y'all love to do the GOAT talk, and it is all hypothetical. It is all subjective. There's no way of telling it. I can only say that one player is definitively better if they played in the same era. And I could see things them going head to head under the same circumstance, things like that. Because it's funny, 16-6 against Kobe. Everybody knows that means nothing. He didn't play Kobe in the playoffs. If you would have had their best 2 teams going against the playoffs, that would have pretty much settled the debate, in my opinion. You understand what I'm saying? That would have settled the debate. But the last we will never know. Hypotheticals are hypotheticals. I don't dwell in to say hypotheticals mean everything. You understand what I'm saying? No, FYF does do the GOAT talk. Let's come on, Darren. FYF, how many Kobe shows have they done? They've done it Kobe shows since T Mac said what he said. This was just last week. Come on, man. Y'all see, I hate when people throw stones and hide their hand. When I say something, I stand on it. That's why this is named 10 Toes Down. That's why this show is named 10 Toes Down. Don't say something because you know what he told me the other week? You know what he told me last week? Nobody ever makes that Michael Jordan only scored point when everybody makes that damn point. Everybody, damn sure a lot of people in your fan base. And nobody goes to things like, what's the greatest team? Everybody's surprised that I don't have the Bulls in the top 5. That's cool. I got them in the top 10. I just think, there was some weaknesses to that team. I don't think they would have stood up against them. I don't think one team, and mind you, I'm supposed to do a debate. I know you don't, but you get a lot of mileage off of it, bro. Come on, Lamont. You do the whole Chat GPT thing, man. Everybody put your GOAT criteria. Because again, it's I said this. It's no right answer, but it's fun in having a debate. It's fun in discussing people's criteria and trying to, figure out, if you get a debate right off of that, your GOAT list versus my GOAT list. Who makes sense? Who's better? You understand what I'm saying? We all know it. See, that's the thing. Don't do it and then say, "Oh, I don't do it." Look, I know you probably rather talk about other shit too, but you do. You talk about what your audience winds up dealing with. Me, I talk about what I want to over here. You understand what I'm saying? I get into deeper stuff. Like I said, I want to level set Scottie because so many people say it's just like the Rodman thing, right? One thing they say about Rodman, oh, Rodman would have scored if he wanted to. No, he did. No, he wouldn't have. He didn't have the skill. Now he didn't have the skill set to be a scorer. Now he played like he was goddamn hopped up on coke all the time. He played like an energetic bunny. So yeah, he could have ran the rim. He could have been a decent rim runner and got like a few lobs on. But that wasn't Rodman's game. He didn't have Rodman could have never led any team to score. He never averaged a double-double in his career. Angel Reese averaged a double-double 2 years in a row. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody got the Scottie. There's takes on Scottie, right? And it's crazy. People, wow, Scottie not in your top 20. Scottie's not in the top 20, bro. He's not better than Elgin Baylor. Let's keep it real. He was great. He was not better than Elgin Baylor. And Elgin Baylor, who has one official ring, but obviously he retired 9 games into that season. He felt he was hurting the team, so he retired. You know what I mean? But Elgin Baylor was a better player than Scottie Pippen. Let's keep it a stack. Elgin Baylor was out there getting 27 and 15 at 6'5". You know what I mean? So again, it's like, bro, you say this, and somebody that loves Scottie is gonna kill you. Y'all, you crazy. Again, I'm trying to let me do something real quick. See if I can share screen because shout out to CW. He's usually my producer on things like this. Let me see if I can do a share screen from here. I'll be bouncing in. I'll be bouncing out. So if you got something to say, or you want to add to the subject, go ahead.
Oh boy. Yeah, man. Little rope.
All right, I'm back. All right, so I was sharing screen. Uh, JB.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, man. Look, I know I was. You saw the share screen, right?
Yeah.
Is it still there or not?
Of Scottie.
The Scotty career highs.
Yeah, it was. It's. Yeah, I saw it, but that was gone.
Okay. It's because I went back. I mean, look, bro, I'm doing it from my phone. I was sharing screen. I went into the desktop site, and then I couldn't figure out how to. I guess I muted myself from the desktop site. But I showed that. So I pulled that up to show you Scotty's career highs in the playoffs. So the point I'm making, the point I'm making is that Scotty had 5 years to play without Jordan. Why couldn't he get 40? Why couldn't he get 50 or whatever? Because a lot of people say, oh, yeah, Scotty would have got this, Scotty would have did that without Jordan. Well, Scotty had many opportunities to score without Jordan. See, again, Scotty just didn't have that deeper type of bag. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So I see when I'm doing share screen, bro. Next time I do share screen, I just need you to like kind of comment on because I'll try to come back or figure out how to unmute myself. Because when I come back, I guess I came in there muted, and then when you know what I mean. So, but anyway, at the end of the day, yeah, man, Scotty was just he was better as a number two. It's not even, and again, I don't even. Oh, his role was so important. It's not just about scoring, but by the same token, let's level set it. Let's level set it because I want to I want to put another one up here. I want to put another one up here real quick. Okay, let's see. People couldn't do. Yeah, right. People couldn't do. Again, and right. Look, Trenton, you're completely 100% correct. Everybody's different. Everybody has what they're strong at. Like, you're not asking Horace Grant to do the same thing you're asking Mike to do. You're not, and I think Mike never really looked at it as I'm the guy, this and the third. We are the team, and we're gonna get here together or not. Period. If my job is to score, that's my job. If my job is, I'm gonna do whatever I can do to win. But It's like nobody looked at this pack. For most of basketball history, nobody looked at it that. Now it's ego. And like shout out to Woodage for saying the last dance broke this guy. And I don't know why, because he was like Mike really gave this dude mad love in this goddamn thing. He was mad because one story made him look bad. There was a lot of stories in that documentary make Jordan look bad. Look like an excess gambler. Look like you understand what I'm saying? I mean, bro, it is what it is. That's what documentaries do. They tell the truth. You know what I mean? So, look, we got all kinds of debates going on. We got debates on what FYF does up in his how he debates and all that. And again, like I said, it's throwing stones and hide your hand, man. Bro, you do so many of these GOAT debates. You do so many of these top 10 this and top 10 that. Come on, man. Like,
And the thing about Pippen, Jerry Krause said during Pippen's rookie year, he said Jordan winning him so hard in practice that a lot of the practice they had to call off because they was worried that Pippen wouldn't last his rookie season. This is how I think what it is that when it comes to competing, man, like I read a lot of books about Jordan. I read a lot of books about Chicago Bulls, man. That dude wasn't playing around, man. Like if you wasn't, like BJ Armstrong said, if you didn't really love the sport of basketball, he could be hard to hang around, dog. I just think his commitment was on a whole nother level. So
and he wanted to know that your commitment
for
was his
Pippen
commitment.
to turn into that type of player, yes, it showed Pippen was an overachiever, considering he came out of a Division II college.
Not even Division II, NAIA.
And Pippen did turn himself. He did become a tremendous player. But I just think people ain't understanding who Jordan was, man. Like he wasn't gonna take. You couldn't slack. So by the time they matured as a team, like you was already beat. When I mean already beat, you weren't gonna beat them in the playoff series. You may get one game, you may get two, but you not finna beat them. So what I'm trying to say is, man, like when they say his competitive nature is different, I just think maybe we're not really understanding. Most basketball fans ain't understanding who this dude was, man.
And that's
Pippen,
the thing. And that's the thing.
It's another level.
That's the thing. A lot of people think, again, like I said, when I talk about hypotheticals, when we talk about the hypotheticals last week, on Tuesday, a lot of people think these players just show up and expect to win. Not understanding basketball is especially the NBA level, is a 48-minute game. You got crazy battles. You understand what I'm saying? You got crazy battles. You got count points and counter. You got great coaches on the other side, great players on the other side. You got to go out and beat teams. You got to go out and beat teams. You understand what I'm saying? Like FYF on my channel debating his old defending on his old. I mean, look. At the end of the day, FYF, I caught you in several lies. I caught you on your screen with ChatGPT on your screen when we was talking about. See, the thing about me is I got the memory of an elephant. And we was talking about where did load management start? And you put it in the ChatGPT, and ChatGPT literally said that the Sixers were one of the first. But no, you wanted to give it to Kawhi because that was your narrative. Again, bro, like it is what it is. Like sometimes you can be proven wrong. Sometimes it's more than one truth, right? Both things can be true. Like Kawhi might have been the first player, but the Sixers damn sure started load management because they drafted guys that they didn't with injuries that they could conceivably come back and play, and they kept them out for the entire season several times. I believe Ben Simmons missed his whole rookie year, right, with the broken foot. So did or the bad back or broken. No, I think it was a broken foot at first, and then Joel Embiid had a broken foot, and then something else. He missed the first 2 years. So they damn sure started it, but You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yo, at the end of the day, you're right, man. These guys just came to win, and they didn't expect to win, and they didn't just. It wasn't this idea that like a lot of people ring culture because people wound up in their previous era without rings. It's an embarrassment to be an all-time great player and never win the ring. And not as if everybody got the same opportunity, as if there's not 30 teams in the league, 29 back then, 20 is it 29, 27. Only one team could win the ring, right? And then it's like, well, now if you don't win the ring, you ain't if you ain't never win the ring, it's the real what does that happen? What did that go to, right? Guys in a 6th, 7th year in the league start ring chasing. So let me get on this contender and see if I can win a ring, right? And if it don't work out, then I'm gonna go to the next one. I mean, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy, you know. And again, this is the problem, man. This is the problem. That's why I was like, bro. At the end of the day, if you understand what it's like to be on a team and you give your best effort to trust me, things will take care of themselves. You know, I get it. Like I'm looking at Giannis at this point where he got the ring, but it's like now you got people saying, "Well, you got Stephen A. on Smith on the screen saying you an underachiever if you don't win too." This is where that whole trick T Mac stuff started from. A lot of people don't realize that because they was getting Stephen A. calling Giannis an undertaker. I mean, an underachiever. So it's like if Giannis is an underachiever and he got a ring, well, what
And
are you saying about
that's
the
some
Gilbert
cold
Arenas?
blooded
Yeah,
stuff, man. For
yeah.
Stephen A. to sit there and say that, dog. That's some cold blooded stuff, dog.
And I never forgot who started the whole thing because I came on my channel when I was in Orlando a couple weeks ago and I eviscerated him. I'm like, bro, you it's for you to be for you, and I still want you on LeBron, some of the LeBron stuff. But bro, for you to sit there and say Giannis Antetokounmpo, you understand how terrific that guy is as a basketball player? You understand he had a 50-point closeout finals game, which is the record? Come on, man. Like you can't make it up, and you calling that man an underachiever because you saying he got more. What is he? He got more All NBA something than he got playoff series wins. What does that mean? He won 4 in one season. He got to a second round, another conference final, I believe. I don't know. This is just dumb. So he had more all NBA appearances, right? Than he has playoff series wins. What does that mean? Like, how is that a negative, JB? You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
To call him an underachiever, that means it just so happens, and we all know when the year after the chip, he got hurt. Then Middleton got hurt. So what? Then last year, Dame, the whole situation with Dame, it wasn't great. Then Dame gets hurt again this year. It's only been 4 years. It's only been 4 years. So it's either he got hurt or one of his main teammates got hurt. And yeah, he gets denigrated because of that. It's so stupid. But the fact of the matter is he got the chip. And then people still say, "Oh, if Kevin Durant didn't step on the line, he stepped on the line." You know what I'm saying? That's when we talk about hypotheticals. When people say if something didn't happen, yet it did happen. Now, when we do things like greatest teams and who would win, I think that's just having fun. Uh, uh, uh. That's a good thing to debate because it's something we like. I can't debate 01 Sixers versus the 01 Lakers because we know what happened. They won.
That's right.
They won. You know why? Yeah. Why do you call Akeem underachiever? That's a good question. The other Nigerian giant, the other Nigerian goat. Why do you call Akeem underachiever? Akeem, as Lamont will point out, while Akeem was underrated, Akeem was overrated in his theme song. And Kobe ain't the top 10 in his theme song. Akeem missed, got knocked out of the first round 5 straight years or 4 straight years, whatever it was. Okay, happens. When I went on that stream, and that's where the Frank Burkowski revisionist history. I came up there and I said Akeem drops a few spots. He's like, why? It's like, because the question was, if Akeem never won the championships, would he be top 10? I said no, he wouldn't be top 10. But I wouldn't. I would have dropped him maybe 2 or 3 spots. But why? Because I know he's the second best defender, probably top 3 defender at worst of all time. You can argue he's the best. I think Bill Russell's the greatest defender of all time. But Akeem Olajuwon, I mean, amazing, just an amazing. And then this is the guy that says because Rudy Gobert got 4 depoys and he only got 2. And Rudy Gobert, and he would take with his house on the line, he would take Rudy Gobert to guard Shaq. Now look, I missed the Frank Bukowski because I said Frank Bukowski had a nice little up and under game. But meanwhile, guys like that can sit there and say, hey, I would take Rudy Gobert to guard Shaq. And nobody, because you know why? Again, their whole agenda over there is kill 90. Like you said, kill 90s basketball. Yeah, that's all y'all can talk about. All y'all can talk about is 90s basketball over and over and over every show. Keep it real.
Could you imagine it'd be like football? It'd be like football. It'd be like, this is 2025. The Eagles just won the Super Bowl. We sitting here talking about
Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders, right?
Yeah.
Talking about Bruce Smith and Joe Montana.
Every day. I can see periodically. I can see, when you start talking about, by the time someone's career finish up or something like that. But that'd be crazy. We should have listened to NFL Today talking about, oh man, this drive by the 90s Cowboys that couldn't hold up in today's game. Like, come on, man, what we doing, dog?
See, and the crazy part is, look at the screen. Lamar is getting, but again, right? He does troll. See, it's cool to troll, but don't lie. Don't sit there and lie, because then your credibility. Like, we all know you try to shock jock. We all know you try to clickbait. That's part of the game. I get it. I clickbaited tonight. I clickbaited in a little bit more logical, smart way. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to let I knew that Scottie Pippen was going to draw an audience. I knew it. Because the last time we talked about Scottie Pippen on the channel, this is when I was on GoCast. Oh man. Biggest most views. Again, we only get a few hundred views over here. We trying to grow. But you know what? Everybody wanted to pull up and see what we talk about Scottie Pippen. Wow. That nigga ain't played since 05. Alright? He ain't make an all-star game since 98. Right?
Mm.
He ain't been that dude since 98. Matter of fact, he didn't even make it in 98 because he was hurt. Remember? Oh, yeah. They didn't put him on. So the last time he made all-star game was 97, I believe. Because it wasn't no all-star game in 99. He wasn't good enough in 2000.
It is what it is, man. Like you said, he went to Houston that 1 year. They was banking on him leading the way. They lost in the first round. And then in Portland.
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
In Portland, he averaged 12 points a game. Like, he's a number 2 player.
Yeah.
That's what he was. He was a number 2 player playing alongside Jordan. It elevated his game playing alongside Jordan. You know what I'm saying? But when he went elsewhere, I mean, he had talent around him, especially in Portland. Portland had prime talent. But he averaged 12 points a game. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give Scottie love, because one thing that's great about Scottie, he spent the entire decade on all NBA defensive team. That's something not a lot.
Tremendous player.
Tremendous defender. At that point, the Portland years, he's now Mr. Role Player. He's now Mr. Captain on the court. The guy with experience. The guy that you could count on to put between him and was it not Bonze Wells? Who was a big defensive stop over there? I think it was Bonze Wells. But you can count on them guys, stick on the perimeter guys, and make life hell. You know what I'm saying? So Portland had a couple of years. Now, I want to address Rodney Stuckey Hoops Academy. Trust me. See, I want you to understand, I'm known as Mr. Frank Bukowski. I got guys like Juan Boy Welchers and all of them calling me Frank Bukowski, because I actually said Frank Bukowski. I made a description of Frank Bukowski's game The whole stuff, and I pulled up on the stream. I didn't know what I didn't. I pulled up on the stream. I believe he asked Herm a question, and then Herm, they was talking. So he asked me when I pulled up if Keem did not have if Akeem didn't have the 2 championships, where would you rank him? And I said I would drop him no lower than 13, 14, 15 because I respected Akeem that much of a defender. And then and again, let's just say, and again, I said, let's just say he was just as good, still MVP level, but they lost in the finals or they lost in the conference finals to Malone. I said I still would have had him that high because he was and again, they almost lost to Phoenix in 95, right? They almost lost. Kevin Johnson had their whole team in foul. So Kevin Johnson dropped 46. Everybody on the perimeter defense. Kevin Johnson was destroying Kenny Smith and everybody else that dared try to guard him. KJ was a beast. You know what I'm saying? But then the question was, I said, okay, he got the 2 depoys. I said, look, these guys in this era, they got more depoys, and we started talking about Rudy Gobert. So then when we talked about Rudy Gobert, I said Rudy Gobert is obviously a great talent, obviously a great rim protector, this, that, and the third. But I'm like, okay, are you telling me that Rudy Gobert is greater all-time defensively than Hakeem Olajuwon because he has more depoys? No, because guess what? Who Rudy Gobert is competing for depoy? This is Ronnie Stuckey. Stick with me if you're still listening. Who Rudy Gobert is competing with for depoys in this era? The Jared Jacksons of the world. These guys are glorified power forwards. Okay? These guys could have never, Hakeem Olajuwon have made them look silly on both ends of the floor, the guys that Rudy Gobert is competing with. So what happened was we started going down. He was like, oh, these guys will keep Rudy Gobert out the league. I said, no, not talent-wise. I said the league in the 90s was more physical. You got a lot of elbows. You had a lot of roughhousing. You had to be a tougher big man. I'm the guy that got put in the goddamn sleeper hole by Draymond Green is not throwing elbows with some of these guys. And as I said too, he said that Rudy Gobert was a better defender than Dikembe Mutombo, who won 4 depoys in his era. Again, Ben Wallace, who wound up winning 4 depoys in the 2000s, he barely got off the bench in his first couple of years with Washington. So the idea that the center position was not a more higher quality in the 90s, y'all are just deluding yourselves, bro. Y'all really are. Because if that was the case, then why did Kevin Garnett come in as high schooler? Why did Jermaine O'Neal come in as a high schooler, dominating? They became good players in the 2000s. Why didn't they come dominating if the centers were not all that? If Alonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing has got a point where he was not even on a defensive all because there's only 2 spots. There's only 2 spots for a center. So if he's not better than Mourning, if he's not better than Mutombo and Akeem, Zach even David Robinson, how many spots can you put on all NBA defense? You know what I'm saying? This man said he bet his house. I said, your life one. I mean, see, that's the word. See, again, it's a hypothetical. And nobody could imagine themselves losing their house. Right? So he's gonna say, I'm gonna take Rudy Gobert because of complex defenses. Bro, I got Hakeem Olajuwon destroying Shaq on both ends of the floor in the NBA Finals. And you mean to tell me you think Rudy Gobert, because again, he never played prime Shaq. He didn't come in the league to 2013. But you think that Rudy Gobert, with your life on the line, could have done anything with Shaquille O'Neal? Bro, but I'm the troll. I'm the troll. No, I'm not rambling nothing, bro. You said I didn't have the context. I just gave you the context, Mr. Lamont Saver. Yo, I'm gonna drop the link. Anybody, if Lamont or himself wanna come through, y'all can come
Rudy
up and have the
Gobert
conversation.
versus the OKC Thunder averaged like 6 points a game in the series. That's basically,
Thank you.
I would say the primary
And I
reason
said
why.
that night, bro. That's the crazy part. I said that night. You talking about you would take a guy that just averaged 6 and 5 with your goddamn life on the line. That was not the context. Okay. Okay, Lamar got his bots in the studio. Lamar got his bots in the chat. Like I said, the link is up. Anybody want to pull up and talk about it? Y'all want to talk about Scottie? Y'all want to talk about my ranking for the all-time rules? Peace, Rakim. Peace, Rakim. Some of y'all be clutch with y'all be reminding me shit, man. Some of y'all be clutch with the comments. But like I said, the link is in the chat. If you are on the GoCast podcast, it probably didn't post. Let me see how I can do it because can't post comment to some destinations. I'm gonna try to do it again. If anybody wants to pull up and don't see the link, let me know. I'm gonna try to figure out how to go over there and put it in the comments myself. You understand what I'm saying? But like I said, anybody. This is the interactive, man. I actually, I actually try to reply to most of the chats and all that. Oh yeah, okay. So C-Dub, peace, C-Dub. Thank you for I know you on the road. You told me. So yeah, just post the link because it'll come up when I post it. It'll come up on my stream, but then when you post it, it'll come up on the GoCast. It'll come on the GoCast stream. So anybody want to pull up, man? Anybody want to holler? Look, I know I'm all over the place, man. I told you I got family here. My brother giving me the side eye because he want to go to sleep. They've been on the road always since Carolina. You know what I mean? So it's all good. Like my brother's seeing what I'm doing, so he appreciating it. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna put just in case. Again, look, we can always. I always just say, man, have an honest discussion, bro. All right, a couple people pulled in. Let's see. So therefore, Lamar is in here, and
now, what I do like about what's going on in the league, and what I think, I'm gonna tell you, I think the youth movement of the NBA saved this league in a lot of ways, and the reemergence of the center position is going to move this league in a positive direction, where I think we'll get a lot of more balanced play. We won't be seeing all these teams because if you notice, I think the 3-point shot regressed this year. They weren't shooting the 3-point shot with the same clip they have in the recent recent past.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this: I know the Knicks saved the league. Beating Boston because we could not have 6 teams next year taking more threes than twos. But FYF, click the stream. Even though his fanboys don't have the again. But what's going on about peace and blessings?
I put your StreamYard link in my Discord. They probably pull up.
All right. Well, yeah. What do you got to say on the subjects we've been talking about?
I don't know, man. Yeah, you've been as usual. You kind of been all over the place.
Yeah, look, I have family that came in as soon as I was there. My phone wasn't charging, man. Still really not charging, but at least it's enough for me to do the train.
When we was talking the other day, it's funny that y'all say I hate the 90s when I had to defend the best team of the 90s because I thought it was just universally known. Like I thought that it wasn't even debatable that the 95-96 Bulls is the greatest team of all time. And
I don't even think that was
Celtics
the best
in a close second, and then you can go down from there. I didn't think that was something that was debatable. So when you said that you didn't even have them ranked in your top 5, for you to say that I hate the 90s, why would I defend that?
Well, here's the thing: y'all destroy everything.
Me. Y'all,
you and the people that run with you, y'all do everything in your power. See, that's the thing, man. Y'all do everything in your power to downgrade her. Hold on. I downgrade one team because I've said this since the 90s, and I watched that team, and I watched that team destroy other teams. But I also watched, and one thing I've always said this with Maine. I've always said this to JB. they had a lot. They played a lot of bad teams that didn't deserve to be on the floor with them, and there
Doesn't
were a lot
matter.
of bad teams in the league. There were a lot of
Doesn't
bad
matter.
teams in the league that year.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, but then again, the
You
teams
can't
that I have
control who you
against ahead
play.
of them,
You can only play who
who
steps
you
in the court.
play.
I can only judge you just like what I say about the 60s. I can only judge you based on who is available to step on the court in front of you. I cannot penalize you because I have a personal feeling about the level of competition. I can only judge you based on what you do to that competition. If you beat the living daylights out of that competition,
Right,
I have to judge you based on what you do.
right. Now there were a couple of teams that did have their numbers, and they weren't. They weren't. They won
In
like they
95,
expelled them.
96,
Yeah, yeah.
they only lost. They didn't lose
They
many
only
games.
lost.
Not too,
They now
nobody
you're right.
really
They
had that
only
many.
lost. See, it's a double-edged sword there, right? Why I honestly thought they got better the next year. I thought they were better in '97 as a team,
Okay,
right?
get you.
And I do again. That's just my personal feeling. I really thought they were sometimes. And again, sometimes again they obviously the accomplishment of 72 wins, and then they lost 4 in the playoffs, right? So they lost
King Ross.
1, and 2. But
The 97 team was better. You didn't have the 97 team ranked over the 95, 96 team.
did I'm not sure because I think I didn't get down to
You said
5 and 6.
95, 96 team was like 7th on your list. The 97 team wasn't even in your top 10.
No, I didn't name it. I didn't
How were
name
they
them
better?
totally. I didn't name them all together. Actually. See, again, it's individual teams. It is what it is, bro. Again, it's like it's not really a knock. Again, the reason why I had other teams because I thought they played stiffer competition and didn't accomplish just as much. And then I think personally that those teams would have lost to some of the other teams that I had on the list. I mean, honestly, bro, Rodman was great. That was the greatest he was with the Bulls, right? That was the best he was with the Bulls. Pippen was still great. Jordan was great, slowing down. I don't think there was much outside of those 3. Kukoc was a liability on defense. I just think they had a lot of weaknesses that weren't exploited, but on the team that they played. But again, it is what it is. So that's the one thing. It's like I'm not killing them. I'm obviously putting them where they belong. But I felt this way, Lamont, since the '90s. I felt again at that point you didn't have really. Okay, how about this? The only team that could even compete with them since, in my opinion, 2 teams. LeBron's 13 Heat, and I still think the Bulls are better than them. And then the Warriors of 72, or then maybe one of the KD Warriors. And I would have to think I probably think 17 was the best team I've seen since the 96 Bulls. And now I actually think 17 dubs, and then I'm gonna say this OKC are the only 2 teams. Okay, 4 teams now. You also have the Lakers, the one that went. Remember, they only won 26, but what they did sweeping the West the way they did, they definitely get up there as well. So they're in my top 10. And again, I'm gonna have to look and think. See, again, this is really I'm jumbling in my head. I'm not even looking at all the particulars and all the numbers. I'm just going by what I saw, and so those are the teams that I saw. And then the team's historical context, I do look up the particulars and I do look up the stories and whatnot, who they played, how dominant they were, who they beat, and all that. And that's when. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do my top 20 teams, and I'm going to do my top 50 players and make a detailed list. I'm not going to use Chat. I'm going to use GPT. Bro, ChatGPT lies too much, bro. I put the 91. I was telling May. I put the 91 versus 01, the 91 Lakers versus 01 Spurs, and they was telling me that Phil Jackson was the coach of the 91 Lakers. This is what ChatGPT does. That's why when you put my stuff in and they said, oh, Jordan never made a long playoff run without Phil Jackson. That was a lie because he went a long playoff run is considered the conference finals, and he did with Doug Collins. So even
That's
your
because
chat
you're
GPT
using
live.
the unpaid version. If you use the
No, this
paid
is
version,
yours. Hold on. When
it
I
does
was in
advanced
Orlando,
coaching.
no. When you came on Go James podcast after the Game 6 live stream, you came up and you asked me for my thing specifically, and your chat GPT said Jordan never made a long playoff run. Now, again, I
I don't think
resimulated.
you're quoting that correctly, King Ro, but
You asked the
not what
question.
he
It's
said,
on tape.
but that's a different topic.
Okay, it
So
is
now
a
we
different
strayed
topic.
away from. Now we
No,
kind
you're
of
right.
drifted
You're
away
right.
from what we were talking about.
Right, you're right. And again, that's why I say I'm not going to use ChatGPT. I'm going to use my historical.
But I did my top 10 teams of all time video 2 years ago, well before ChatGPT was popularized. So
Oh, great.
I
That's
don't think
good.
you need
I would like
ChatGPT
to
to know
watch
that
it.
the 95, 96 Bulls are the greatest team of all time, hands down, and it's not even close. And it's not because of personnel. It's not because of anything particular. Because a lot of when I think your flaw, King Ro, is when you look to a particular position on the team and you say, "Oh, they didn't have an elite center, and that's their weakness." You look to a team. Every team in NBA history has a weakness somewhere, whether it's on your bench, whether it's at a position. At the end of the day, what makes these great teams great is how you circumvent that weakness and turn it into a strength. So, for example, with the Chicago Bulls, they didn't have an elite center, but they were the best defensive team of the 90s by far, and it wasn't even close. How did they do it? They were able to stifle. They were able to stifle great centers night in and night out. How were they able to do it with Longley and some of these guys?
They
So
weren't.
you gotta ask yourself is
them.
if you say that teams like this were, you say that they had weaknesses. How were they able to overcome all those weaknesses and dominate all of those other players at those positions where those players are typically great? And so I think that team, what made them great is because they made Luke Longley better, made Bill Wennington and those guys better, made everybody better. And then also the only weakness that team had was defending the 3-point line. How did they overcome that? They said, well, you know what? We can just going to go into a full court press. That's absolutely unheard of in the NBA. You're not supposed to be able to full court press an NBA team. And they circumvented their only weakness by speeding teams up, making them play late in the shot clock so they don't get into a half court offense and shoot threes. This is why I feel they were the greatest team of all time, because they turned every weakness that they had into, they found a way to hide it and ultimately put other teams in really bad situations. So I just don't see any other team in NBA history doing all of those things that they were able to do.
So cool. Number one, they had two weaknesses: center and actually guarding quick guards.
Position is not a weakness.
Oh, you said they were able to hide Luke Longley. Patrick Ewing used to put their foot,
it's not hiding Luke Longley.
Putting Luke Longley behind.
I didn't never said they hit. No great defensive team or coach talks about hiding players. It's how do we defend, for example, if you have to go up against a David Robinson, how do we defend David Robinson as a unit? Because as Phil Jackson said, the best defense looks like a zone. So how do you stifle these guys? It's not about saying Luke Longley, what are you going to do tonight versus David Robinson? It's about, as a team, how do we slow down David Robinson? And when you have that approach, it gives guys like Luke Longley more confidence because he knows we're going at David Robinson as a team. They're not putting all the onus on me to stop him by myself. And this is why they were so great, because you had the guys like Robin who had Longley's back, Pippen had Longley's back, and everybody had each other's back. And this is what made them great. So you keep harping on positions. It's tactical. They were so tactical. Nobody, you said Kukoc was a liability off the bench. That is not true. Phil Jackson found a ton of ways to make Kukoc very, very playable. So much so that he was one of the best bench players in the NBA that year, offensively and defensively. And he also steamrolled. They also had they started the small ball era. Because with their most deadly lineup was with Kukoc late game with no center on the court.
Completely. I know all of this, Lamar. Here's the problem. No, I know. Like, you went into the soliloquy, and I know I watched the team.
Soliloquy. These all facts.
Okay, they are facts, and I don't. The thing is, you go into soliloquy with a lot of stuff that I don't disagree, but I want to stop you
Oh,
where I
excuse me, gentlemen. I
disagree.
just want to ask this question about Kukoc.
Go
Why
ahead.
why was he demoted as a six man to begin with? Why was he demoted for?
I mean, number one, he wasn't really a power forward. He wasn't really a
because
small
that
forward.
year, right, with the addition of Ron Harper, right, with the addition of Ron Harper, that's
Ron
what
Harper was there
ultimately.
before the Jordan. Ron Harper was there before Jordan
I
came
know,
back.
I know that. What? Listen to what I'm saying. With the addition
So
of
why
Ron Harper.
so why did they
All right,
bring
never mind.
in Robin for? Why did they bring Robin? Why did they feel the need to bring in Robin?
Okay,
If
so
Kukoc
so which
was
question you
working
want
out.
me to answer first?
Let him know. Let him know.
No, I just want to get man
But you
input
asked
on
two
that.
questions. You asked two questions. Which one you want me to answer?
Hold it down.
Does he hear me?
All right, I'm here. JB, you still there?
Oh no, I'm still hurt. No, I'm just trying
Yeah.
to figure it out because I remember Kukoc came in. He was supposed would have been his rookie year. That's the year that Jordan retired for the first time. So it seemed like to me, Kukoc was going to be Scottie Pippen and Scottie Pippen. So why was the need to bring Rodman in and put Kukoc on the bench?
Because the one thing that the Bulls, the one glaring weakness that the Bulls had coming off that 95 loss to Orlando, the one thing that made that rotation super dominant was that defensive power forward that could rebound. The one thing Tony Kukoc struggled with was rebounding and defending bigs. Kukoc was a much better defender on guards and playing on the perimeter. And so the one thing they lacked in playing against Orlando showed you this, that they didn't have any rebounding whatsoever. And so that's why that summer, Jordan tried to recruit Jason Williams, but they ultimately ended up because Jason Williams was kind of similar, probably a better offensive player than Rodman. But no, it's not a knock. I'm not saying that to knock anybody. I'm just telling you they knew that they had a hole that they needed to fill, somebody to fill that Horace Grant type of role because Horace Grant.
So Jordan flew to New
Horace Grant
York to
punished the
recruit
Bulls in that
Jason
95
Williams, right?
series. But Horace Grant punished the Bulls in that 95 series, so they needed to have a power. When I say power forward, I'm talking about somebody that can really come in and battle and battle because they did like going to those small ball lineups. And the one person that they got that could do that was probably the best in the league at that. Undersized guy, but he's going to battle. He can battle with any power forward and center. He's the best rebounder in NBA. And you ultimately saw what he did as soon as he came in and filled that role. He made them from a really good team to the best team of all time to me. And that they needed that. And that's what a good organization does. A good organization identifies, look, we have to fill this hole and we have to fill it ASAP. And they fill it. That's why they're the greatest team of all time.
Okay. Now, I gave you a good 90 seconds to 2 minutes, right? Cool. We're going to do this whole time thing. But let me defend my point because I agree with you 90% of the way. Here's the thing, Ron. I agree with you 90% of the way. We both saw the Bulls. We both have our take on the Bulls. Can y'all hear me?
Okay.
All right. We both got our take on the Bulls. The thing is, where the Bulls, again, at the end of the day, the Bulls won because they had Scottie and Mike, and you didn't. Most other teams didn't. Most teams did not get 50-something points out of two players that especially could come down there and run the game in the fourth quarter like that, right? They were weak. They had weak parts, but the sum of the total and the way Phil organized the team and the way at the end of the day, down the stretch, they had the clutch guys. They had the guys that in a playoff series you could get 30. You knew you were getting your 30 out of Mike. You knew you were getting you might count somebody into the bad game, but then their offensive system was meant where somebody could step up. Again, it was times when the Bulls got their doors rocked by the great teams. they got that same 96 year. They got beat by Denver for like 25 something. You know who Denver had? Who gave the Bulls fits? Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. They couldn't guard guys like Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. They couldn't guard guys like Ross Strickland. They couldn't guard the quick guards would eat the Bulls alive. Jordan wasn't good at guarding them, and Kerr, I believe what's the name was gone. BJ Armstrong was gone because he was taking the expansion draft, right? So the Randy Browns of the world, they had nobody that could guard quick guards. And if they played against a team, conceivably, that had a quick guard and they had the scoring, then they would have got their doors robbed. They would damn sure struggled more than they did. Unfortunately for the Bulls, they didn't run into that team. Even in the finals, I really thought Seattle would give them a big problem. But again, Seattle, remember, as you said, they had Irvin Johnson as starting center. So while they had a guard, it was hard for them to deal with, and Gary Payton, their center was Irvin Johnson, and the great Frank Brakowski at power forward coming off the back of Sean Kemp. And Sean Kemp destroyed them. But again, if he had more of just a lunch pail center than
Sean Kemp already came out and said why they lost that series.
Why did Sean Kemp say?
Sean Kemp, and you can play this. I can pull it up. We could play it. He already said they had no way to contain Dennis Rodman. He said Dennis Rodman was causing. He said they felt like as a team they had Jordan contained, but they said Dennis Rodman was the guy who kept giving them second chance possessions, rebounds, and he said he was the player that they couldn't figure out, and he was also doing stuff that, again, annoy Frank Bukowski, get him texts, do all this little stuff to just throw them completely off the rhythm. So again, this is one of the reasons why. This is one of the important reasons of why you have a Dennis Rodman on that team. That's why, of course, and they did not have that in '95, nor in '94-'95 when they lost to Orlando. And had they had a Dennis Rodman, they probably beat Orlando 94-'95.
Well, I mean, Horace Grant was enough, but you're right. All right, Horace Grant. Look, at the end of the day, the Nick Anderson was already like messed up in the head. That like after missing those free throws against Hakeem, right? He never was the same player. They just, again, my thing is,
they were decimated by injuries in next year, so they never.
The injuries again, but I still think they should have. I still think there's no way they should have been tried.
That next year they were completely decimated. Everybody was injured. They did not stand a chance versus the Bulls.
Okay, well then
right there, was injured.
So the 60-win team they played. Yeah, you're right. So the Knicks were messed up. The Knicks were messed up because they never really they had a rookie coach pretty much putting their pieces together after Don Nelson tried to play, thought that Ewing was Chris Webber where he could bring the ball up. And Ewing was not going to bring the ball up. Like, it was a mess. But see, you said that the Bulls were the best defensive team in the 90s by far. No, the Knicks were. Go look at the defensive ratings every year. The Knicks are the only team that's in the top 3 of defensive ratings.
I said that was the best of all the single
individual. Okay, all right, got you.
I didn't say they were the best team throughout the entire 90s. I said that 96-90 Bulls, 95-96 Bulls team was probably, to me, a top 3 defensive team of all time.
Gotcha. And again, they had a hard time guarding. They
weren't the best defensive team of the decade.
Okay, I got you. No, I got you. Now again, it's one of these arguments, and don't act like you never heard it. Don't act like you never heard Bron fans bring up the expansion era stuff and how the expansion weakened the league and this and that. Okay, so you bring it up. So now again,
but how do
part of those numbers have to do with. Yeah, no, I mean, it's cool. But part of those numbers are aided by the fact that there were a lot of weak teams. There were a lot of weak teams. Again, those weak teams would eventually become a little bit better, and that's why I think in the
90s right now. Is it me?
You know what I think? I think 97. I think 97 is better
in the 90s.
Or
FYF Sports.
Say again.
I said, now who's killing the 90s? Me, who, or you? Because you're telling everybody it was weak. Telling everybody it was bad.
No. Here's the thing. I keep it real, sir. I keep it real. See, y'all kill the 90s players individually. I will tell you certain teams. Look, the 93, hold on, 93, you lost 3 of the best players in the East. 2 to death and 1 to family death. You lost Reggie Lewis, who was really supposed to bring the Boston Celtics into a new era. You lost Drazen Petrovic, who was on his way to superstardom through tragic death, right? Then you lost Michael Jordan, obviously, for a year and a half because of him soul searching after James Jordan was tragically killed in the car that he bought him. I mean, a lot of people, I know they use the gambling shit, but bro, anybody that loses their father, and I knew how close James Jordan, how important James Jordan was to the Jordan family. All right, like he lived to impress his father, and he felt want to play basketball. So anyway, you lost those 3 guys. Though that like 3 teams lost one of their best. Obviously, Len Bias from '86, Celtics were railing over that. So then on top of that, Bird had retired in '92. So teams got individually weaker. There were teams the Pistons broke up, right? So the teams with themselves were individually weaker. Y'all kill the players as if they were physically inferior. Okay, you know who does it. See, we do this where you act like you know
what I do. And I've already said this. I've said this time and time again. I said individually, there were a ton of great players in the 90s. But I said the problem is that you do those great players no justice when they are stuck on teams where you either have organizations that have no interest in building great teams around them.
So right there, we agree, Ron.
Or the teams are handicapped because of the CBA. So when you
talk about
a player like Mitch Richmond to me could literally
was stuck in Siberia.
In the era of basketball.
He was stuck in Siberia.
Sacramento Kings and your second best player is Wayman Tisdale. You're not winning anything. So again,
agree.
I can go through the 90s and I can tell you who the great players were. But the problem is when we look at their legacy, because this is what we talked about with Kobe, your legacy is judged on what you are able to accomplish as a player. Whether it's deep playoff runs, whether it's a lot of winning, whether it's championships, Mitch Richmond was never afforded that in his prime because he was stuck on a hapless organization that could not build. And you can say that about a lot of great players in the 90s who, again, Jerry Sloan talked about it. He talked about how
Lamont, you just made my point.
90s, he talked about how the expansion drafts of the 90s stifled their ability to add to that Utah Jazz roster. This is why they had to come back year after year with literally the same team to play the Bulls, and they had no way to get better. It was hard to lure players in free agency because of the CBA. They kept losing draft picks because of draft compensation given to the expansion teams. The expansion teams got really good really fast, but none of the teams already existing.
Lamar, this happens on your channel a lot. You go through these soliloquies, and we agree. Hold on, Lamar.
I'm doing, Rose, I'm saving you time because you're going to go down this road of telling people that I bash players, and I don't bash players. I tell the truth about the 90s.
Okay,
I don't lie about the 90s. Like you're lying about the 90s right now.
No, I'm not. No, hold on. Everything
like you're saying the 95-96 Bulls are not the greatest team of all time.
Okay, see, you just went through a soliloquy telling me. Hold on, Lamont. No, come on, now let you go. You just went through a soliloquy, and I agree with every word, but you don't even realize you just made my point. You just said guys like no. You just said guys like Mitch Richmond, who probably could have given the Bulls if Mitch Richmond was on the Lakers with a Magic Johnson who never had to retire from AIDS or HIV, right? The Bulls got trouble. They don't win 6-0. And here's the thing. Everything you're saying, you're right. Guys signed guys were signing 6 and 7 and 8 year contracts. So they, you didn't have more player mobility back then. I completely agree. Again, a guy like Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, if he was on the Knicks, the scales would have tilted because you got that quick guard next to Patrick Ewing that the Bulls cannot deal with. The Knicks were always missing that. They were always missing that. So the teams, they could give the Bulls trouble. They didn't give the Bulls trouble. And just like you said, you had great players on mediocre teams. You had great players on mediocre teams. But now here's why I call you out, Lamont. You act like the narrative that these players were inferior, blah, blah, blah. No, the teams were inferior. The players were just good.
The players were inferior.
No. Again, I said You act like the narrative don't exist when you know guys that come up on your channel say that shit.
All I tell you, King Ro, is if
A
there are
Johnny
people that
says, how
say
about
that,
this? A Johnny who
then you
hosts a
need to
show
be
on your
addressing a
channel says
Johnny.
that.
Then address a Johnny.
But I do. That's my point. I do. I address them sometimes together, and I get 5 seconds to make my point.
Johnny talking point.
I get 5 seconds to make my point. But a Johnny also leaves a lot of people that feel the same way.
Why are you talking to me about his talking point?
Okay, you know why? Because it's on your. See, your thing is, again, you act like you don't. I get it. See, you talk to me about other people's talking points.
Talking points.
Okay, but you never do. You never give me the credit of talking about my talking point. Because, like I said, Lamont, hold on, Lamont.
Talking point is your talking point. You said
again, you did Lamont. You went through the 90s with plumbers, right? You don't say that. I get you don't say that.
When did I say the 90s?
Hold on. I just said you don't say it. But guess what? When people say it in your presence, you don't correct them.
Okay, who said it in my presence?
Bro,
who?
Your chat.
I want you to pull a clip.
Oh, but pull a clip. I'm gonna pull comments. I would have to pull the comments and then take a screenshot and then post it.
I gotta police not only the panel, and the live stream,
you know what it is.
People, but I gotta police the thousands of comments that are scrolling a million miles an hour on my.
But you go at mine when you go at mine. You know, it's certain people that you go at, and you go at Herms. You go in certain people. So let's just say you respect you. Let's just say you respect our perspective, but you know a lot of these people are full of shit. You know there's a
said the 60s was firemen and plumbers, not the 90s.
Yeah, and that was bullshit too, and you know that as well, right? You called them out just as well, right?
No, what I specifically said was, if what JJ Redick said about the talent is accurate, but because I didn't just say that. Even not Bob Cousy. It wasn't Bob Cousy. I believe it was. Bob Cousy came out himself and admitted it. But what I'm saying is, just because we look at the talent and say that, okay, that talent's probably not up to par with what we see today, I don't penalize and de-rank players because I think the talent was less than. Because I always say you can only play against what's in front of you. I will not devalue what you do because I emotionally feel that particular talent was maybe less than. That's a.
But you know what Bob Cousy also said.
Penalizing the '96 Bulls because you feel that the teams that they were playing were not as talented.
No, that's wrong. See, here you go. You're wrong. I said the teams weren't as good because I agree with every word you just said. You had talented players stuck in mediocre positions. See what I'm saying? No. But I agree with you, and I tried to stop your soliloquy because I knew where you were going. And I agree with you. So they were great to again. KJ, the Bulls. If KJ was on a better team, if KJ went to the Knicks, again, there was no player mobility. There was no way for the Knicks to get him.
On the Suns, they were a really good team.
I got you. And the Suns gave him a lot. They just didn't get back to the finals to get the Bulls another chance.
No. Right? Say it how you say it with players today. They had a really good team and they choked.
They didn't choke. They just got beat by the GOAT. They needed Jordan to average goddamn near 40.
Oh, they got beat, but okay.
They got beat by the GOAT today. See what I'm saying? See, it's the chicken or the egg theory again. It's the chicken or the egg. That's what it is. Jordan was the GOAT, but Jordan. See, a lot of people say Jordan didn't play great competition, which is bullshit. You know that. In the finals, he played damn. You realize how good
Clifford Robinson was in the finals.
He didn't.
It's not his fault.
No, that's bullshit. He played great competition in the finals. See right there.
That he did play great teams in the finals.
No, he did. He
only played the teams that made it out the West.
So you're telling me the 92 Blazers weren't good?
Played is looked at as an all-time great team.
Which is bullshit because they didn't win. That's why. But I'm sorry. A team with Clifford Robinson. Hold on. A team with Clifford Robinson is a 6-man. I don't care. A team with Clifford Robinson is a 6-man. A team with Tom Chambers is an 8-man. You remember what
team with Clifford Robinson?
Is Clifford Robinson was the bum?
You said the
Robinson 6'10".
You said the 92 Blazers are all-time great team.
A team with Clifford Robinson as a 6-man.
All-time great team.
They were a very good team. Very good.
All-time great team.
Okay, how many times you get 2 all-time great teams in their finals?
Are they
how many times in the history? 20 no.
Team of all time.
20 no. 40, 50 maybe. because I love. Hold on.
Portland Trailblazers are not a top 20 team of all time.
They're not top 20 team of all time.
Okay.
But how many times in 79 years? Hold on. Okay.
Team of all time.
Okay, then let me ask you this: What are 18 Cavs a top 20 team of all time? What are 18 Cavs?
I don't care about LeBron's competition. We're talking about Jordan.
No. I'm actually going to the Warriors competition. What are 18 Cavs a top 20 team of all time?
Jordan played elite competition. Is any team that Jordan played in the finals?
I said Jordan played good competition in the finals.
What are you qualifying as good competition?
See, my point is you're coming up with here, and again, you don't realize the chances of two top 20 teams playing in the 79 NBA finals, right? So that means the 158 teams make the finals. You're asking two of the top 20 teams. That's like asking.
What makes the Portland Trailblazers a great team?
Number one, they had the experience. Number two, they had the talent at every position. Their worst position talent-wise was Kevin Duckworth. They had Danny Ainge and Clifford Robinson coming off the bench.
So if they had enough, did they choke?
No, they lost to a better team. The Bulls were better. Actually, I think that was the best. Obviously, that was
inefficient. Drexler did far below his season averages. How did he not choke? According to how you guys judge players today.
Why would he playing against Michael Jordan? But again, they were still a great team. They still were a great team. See, this is the problem. You're doing the chicken and the egg thing. Like you're not giving the Blazers props enough. The Blazers weren't. Put it this way, right? People will come back here and say that the Pacers were one of the worst final teams in NBA history, and then they'll say the bubble 2020 Miami Heat, especially the one that lost multiple games of Bam Adebayo, and after game one they lost Goran Dragic to injury. That was the worst team ever in the finals. Is that LeBron's fault? Of course not. Right? See, at the end of the day,
we got quiet.
See what I'm saying? At the end of the day, because we do this. That's what I'm saying.
I know what he said. I'm just trying to let him.
Okay, I said the 2020 Heat team.
Yeah.
Statistically, and the fact that they lost two of the three best players on the team in the finals was the worst finals team of all time.
I know, but hold on, King Rowe. When you tell me that, I will tell you that 2020 Heat team was one of the worst NBA Finals teams of all time. Why would I contest that? They were not a very.
Okay. But see, that's what I'm saying. The point I'm making, we're going to go. No, hold on.
Lakers.
I got to do it now. I promised myself never to use the mute button, but I got to use the mute button, and I'm gonna unmute you, man. But bro, I'm going back to the point where we're reducing. Like they use that to reduce Jordan. It's a bad talking point because those teams were very representative. Again, if you look at the collective winning percentage, the teams that Michael Jordan played have a better winning percentage than the team LeBron played, and that's with the 72, the Warriors 72, 67, and then the two KD teams. You still average it out. I mean, again, the Sonics won 64 games. The Blazers won 58 games. The Lakers won 58 games the year they won. They win. I believe, was it 58 or 59 for the – it might have been 58 3 straight times. And then you have the Suns, who had the best record in the league at 62-20. All right? So, collectively, then you had Utah that won 64, the second three-peat. Utah won 64. I believe the second team won 61, and then the Sonics won 64-66. So collectively, the winning percentages, they're better for and unfortunately Miami brought the average down for LeBron's competition. Now again, who cares, right? But the point I make is that talking point is used, and we don't level set how good the 93 Suns were. Again, Tom Chambers was one of the best scorers of the 80s. He was not that far removed from his prime. And especially to be at 33, 34 years old, to be the eighth man on that team. The Suns had a lot of scoring punch. Yes, Johnny laughed at me when I listed center as Mark West. But Mark West was a solid rebounder and shot blocker.
But why are you telling me all this?
Why am I telling you this? Because you came at me for denigrating the Bulls but I'm telling you, at least the finals competition was very, very good. It was And the
Okay,
Bulls could have lost any of those series. They could have lost if
but
Jordan
Terrell,
wasn't as great as he was.
by your own logic, you just sat here and told us that you don't have the 72-10 Chicago Bulls of 95 and 96.
And I've
They're not
told you the
ranked.
reasons.
They're
They're
not
not.
ranking. They're not ranked in your top 5 teams of all time because you don't feel like they played very good top competition.
No, because I felt I have 5 teams that are better.
But
See what
then
I'm
you
saying?
turn around.
It's like
and then try to-
hold on. It's like I don't
But
have
then you,
LeBron in my top 5 because I feel 7 players are better than him on an all-time basis.
okay,
And
I
I
don't.
can
I'm not
give
talking
you
about
my reasons.
LeBron. Why do you
No,
keep?
but I'm just saying that's
I'm just trying to make
a
the next
similar
point.
take. But what I'm telling you is for me to do that, I'm not knocking LeBron. I'm telling you that there were 7 special players who I
I'm
think.
not talking about LeBron James.
Okay,
What do you keep
great.
bringing up LeBron
But
for?
I'm just telling you. Similarly, I think 6 teams were better than the Bulls, and that's
No,
fair.
I get that. I get that. I'm trying to make a different point.
Okay,
You just said that you don't rank the 95-96 Bulls in the top 5 because what you looked at is the teams that they played were less than. And so that by default, to me,
on the team itself, they had weakness that could have been exploited by other teams from different eras.
But by default, what that basically means to me is that the 72-10, as great as it is, doesn't mean as much to you.
It meant a lot. It meant a lot.
So when you turn around and then try to tell me that winning percentage in the same era that you say is less than winning percentage of those final teams means more, it can contradicts your logic. Because
Not true.
Jordan's finals competition because their record was good.
Not true. Not true.
95, 96
Hold on.
because their record was good only because you said he played a bunch of bad teams.
Got you. All right. So you're coming at me. You thought you got one. Yes,
No,
the Sonics played. Hold on. The Sonics played the same competition, right? The Jazz played the same competition. Here's the thing. Now I'm going to level set the Sonics and the Jazz. And that does not apply to the first 3 final competition because, yes, you don't have the expansion. Now, again, I know well enough to know that, again, guys like Mitch Richmond, because in 91, he was on Run TMC. So Run TMC was that good, but they didn't even come close to the finals. In fact, in 91, they as I uncovered in the debate, they got beat by Magic's Lakers. The same Magic Lakers who everybody thinks was old and past their prime. You see what I'm saying? Like, no, again, it's about level setting. We got to sit there and see who. Look, again, 72 was due to a lot of bad teams. So yeah, we got some nights. All you got to do is show up. The Bulls just had to show up on a lot of nights. There were a lot of bad teams where the Bulls are up by 40. And mind you, now you see that happen in a team about this down.
Wouldn't that aid to the Seattle Supersonics getting 60 wins?
I just said that. I literally just said that. But that don't mean the Sonics. Because I'm going to. Okay, again, that's one thing that is true. Now you want to keep it real. You want to keep it real? Okay, LeBron's best team. And again, I don't want to go off on LeBron played a lot. They were actually, when they went on the 27-game winning streak, and I still think that was a great accomplishment. But do you realize that only 8 of the 27 teams were above 500? Did they beat that 27-game winning streak?
The only way you can go on good winning streaks, you probably play some bad teams in there.
Okay, they played majority bad teams.
Just basketball, but you cannot control who you play.
But you're right, and I hold on. I prefaced that by saying, despite that fact, that was still a wonderful accomplishment of winning 27 straight games because they almost lost a lot of those games.
Why are you telling me about Jordan's competition when I don't never hold it against him? I don't care about his
competition is one. Okay, so when you ask me why, that is one of the points that I make. But then I also come to the more important point that I think the team itself had weaknesses that other teams and other eras might have exploited in a 7-game series. And again, that's all I'm saying. So you say I'm killing the 90s. No, I'm not. I'm actually level setting.
But that's a hypothetical.
It's not okay. It is a hypothetical. That's
Your
all you
last show
got.
was about avoiding
Hold on, but sir,
hypothetical.
but I did a show about not dwelling in the hypothetical.
What's
And
dwelling in the
hold,
hypothetical?
before you came on, me and Rob, the guy I was talking to, we went and listed 40 hypotheticals, and we were basically joking because yes, yeah, what if this? What if that? That's for a rap song. That's what Jada Kiss to put in a rap song. What if this never happened? What if that? At the end of the day, no, at the end of the day, we don't dwell in it because we can't prove it. We know we can't. All we can do is theorize and make a basketball conversation off of that.
You can
You're
just
never
use
going
the
to.
numbers in front of you.
Okay, cool. But then I will do that. Again, these conversations can be bored of a lot of things, but I'm not dwelling on it. And still, when I got the Bulls 7th, and I've had this since '96, I was in high school.
How is
When
that
this,
not disrespectful? Y'all talk about Kobe
how
being
was
ranked
it?
outside of it.
But I
I was
felt it
ranking
again.
the 95, 96 Bulls outside of your top 5. Explain to me how that is
LeBron, you're probably
disrespectful
in
to
your 30s.
basketball.
You're probably in your 30s. You look like you're in your 30s. I've had this
Explain to me
goddamn
how that's not
conversation.
disrespectful.
It's not disrespectful. I felt this way for 30 years.
Okay, I'm telling you right
49 years,
now.
I felt that way. I felt the Bulls
If you
were a little
publicly
bit
say that
overrated.
the 95, 96 Bulls are not a top 5 team of all time, that is disrespectful to
No,
basketball.
it ain't. No, it ain't because
It seriously takes a very, to me personally,
Chet Walker,
it really hits your credibility as a basketball analyst.
No,
It's
it ain't.
hard
No, it
for me to
don't.
take
No, it
anything
don't.
you say
No, it
serious.
don't.
If you
No, it
sit here
don't.
and tell me that the
No,
95,
it don't.
96 Bulls are not a top 5 team all time.
Let me ask you this. Okay, if I sat there and list 16s, tell me which team was the handmaker that you think that you
You said
just
which
think.
was what?
If I listed 6 teams that I think are the greatest teams of all time now, tell me which
Okay.
teams you think that doesn't belong in the same gym with the '96 Bulls. Okay, 67 Sixers.
Okay, hold on. 67 Sixers. Okay.
67 Sixers.
Okay.
Matter of
I
fact,
gotta
yeah, if
pull the
you
correct
want,
one.
put them in your chat GBT and say, do you think these teams would give the Bulls a run for their money?
You want me to put it in the chat GPT?
You can do that right now if you want to.
You want me to share my screen?
Oh, yeah. Now let's put chat GPT to work, but let's make sure chat GPT get the coach right, because Lord no.
I got the advanced version. It ain't gonna get nothing wrong. Don't worry.
It said your chat GPT said Jordan never made a long playoff run without Phil Jackson,
That's
even though I
not
didn't
true.
ask him that.
You
He
share
said
the
that.
screen now.
Cool. You got it?
Yeah, it's on there. Just gotta add it. You just gotta add it.
Hold on, because I gotta go see that. The problem is I'm on.
Just
Hold
tap it.
on.
Just add it. Just add it
Yeah,
to
no,
the
you got.
thing.
Hold on. No. I gotta go because I got to a desktop site. I'll be right back.
Oh man, he could have done it on the phone, man. Oh, shit. Yeah, I think King Rowe having some technical difficulties, man. He not keeping up with the times, y'all, man. This man is out of touch with the technology, man. It's crazy. Goatcast, where you at, man? Man, you got to get in here and help save King Rowe, man. King Rowe, man. And come on, man. Yeah, you know, if
I'm
it's not
back.
a 2002 PC, you don't know what to
No,
do
no,
with it.
I'm on my phone, bro. That's what it is. Okay, so the screen is shared. You hear me, right?
Yeah, the screen is shared. So
Okay, cool.
I knew some of the
So,
teams, so I got some of the teams down here that I know you are gonna have.
all right, so 67, yes, 86, 72 Lakers, 71. Because the
Yep.
72, the 71, it was Kareem that won.
Okay, so 72 Lakers. Who else you got?
I got 85 Lakers. That was up to me. That was the epitome. Actually, 87 Lakers were great too, but
All
I
right.
was going wow that tip top. He was still
Okay.
close to his prime. I got let me see. I also 83 Sixers. We got 83 Sixers, the 444 Sixers. All right, so that's okay. The Bulls.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's only 6 teams, but
Is
right, you
16.
should
At
have one more
16,
there. Let me
yeah,
see.
I'm going to go because again I'm going top of my head. And let's just say
You gotta have
17
one of the Warriors teams in there.
17 dubs. 17 dubs.
All right, so let's just see what it kicks out as just a ranking. All right. And number one has a
Don't surprise
90.
me.
That don't surprise me either. 2, the Warriors. This actually almost is exactly because when I did my top 10 teams all time, that was my number 1 and number 2. And then my number 3 was the 86 Celtics, so that matches mine.
Okay.
My number 4 was the was it the 2001? I think it was the 2001 Shaq and Kobe Lakers. So we didn't include that team, but I think that team belongs there. But it gives you the number 4, the Sixers, 83 Sixers, number 5, 67 Sixers, number 6 is 72 Lakers, 7, 85 Lakers, and there you go right there.
Having the worst record of it doesn't surprise me. And again, all right. So again, it's not like the thing I want for you to really ask. Yeah, I know. Shout out to my man C Dub because C Dub he's my producer. I do this for my phone. C Dub does.
What you want me to
So
ask you?
well, I want to
You know you
ask.
can still do all the
Yeah,
everything
I
that you do
know.
on the
Yeah,
desktop. You can
yeah.
do it on the
The
phone.
problem is I got to go to desktop site, and you couldn't hear me when I was trying to unmute myself. I think it put me in a mute mode. I was trying to unmute myself, and it wouldn't let me. So that's the desktop site is the only way I can let you share your screen. So I had to go there and come back, but I was trying to stay
Okay.
there in that mode. But anyway, at the end of the day, let's see which one of those teams, let's say of the 2 to 6, which team 2 to 7, I mean, which teams could conceivably beat the 72 the 72 win Bulls or the 86
In
96
that
Bulls
7-game series?
in a 7-game series. And
Okay,
that's
no,
simulated
well,
up.
well now that I say that, let's just say we can ask it if we put these teams if we match these teams up in a 7-game series, who would win, or we could do something like that.
Yeah, or well, even a round robin. Like who would win the round robin?
Okay, hold on. Okay. If we matched.
But shout out to because he said he would have done it. He's driving, man. Nah, man. Stay safe on the road, C Dub. I know you going out for vacation for the long weekend, man. I hope you and the missus have a great time, man. But C Dub is the MVP of this channel, man. No doubt about it. And again, man, look, at the end of the day, these are fun discussions to have. See, I don't look at it's my opinion. I don't look at it as the Bible. I don't look at when we talk about hypotheticals, I think people dwell too much in hypotheticals. That was the point of that show. We
All right.
do so much about okay.
So here we go right here. So they're gonna do a round robin format, and it says series by series analysis and
All right, so they got 17 beating the Warriors, of course. Recency bias was lovely.
Well, hold on, let me see. It says it says the 96 Bulls versus 2017
Warriors.
Warriors
won 4-2. Yeah. Easily
the funny thing about it is I did a 7-game series because on 2K and I commentated the simulation on my channel and the Warriors won. Even on 2K. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm. The 3-point shot, that definitely helps in their favor.
It got to 80. So you got the
86 Celtics, the Bulls winning 7.
Oh, so hold on. It starts from the bottom up. Oh, so it starts from the bottom up.
Yeah, so they got so it basically the only one that can beat them is the Warriors, they say. But the Celtics give them a 7-game series.
Oh yeah, the Warriors could beat them.
Bulls beat and they got them killing the Lakers in 5, and they got them also killing the Sixers, Sixers.
It has the Warriors dominating everybody.
So the Warriors beat everybody. Let me see the Celtics versus the Warriors.
Where?
The Warriors versus the Celtics. Warriors win 4-2. Wow.
Too much space in the cover. Draymond limits McHale. KD takes over.
I would love to see it in 96 rules, but it's you start really like it's like a lot, like you're peeling the layers back on a lot of it.
But that's why I say you cannot cross errors.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough, and it's not an exact science.
Changes the entire way you play basketball.
Yeah, and you got to think about there's no 3-point shot for most of the teams that I have up there, and then the 280 teams are not good at.
The Warriors still shooting threes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you got teams that are 70s and 60s. There's no 3-point shot, so there's no way of recording how good those guys would have been at shooting a 3. But even then, I'm just really kind of looking at basketball from so Warriors are 6-0. Do they have the Lakers not winning a single series?
Yeah, it says the Lakers wouldn't win at all.
Which is wow. The Magic disrespect. See, that Magic disrespect hurts me.
Yeah, it's saying if you did it in a series, the 2017 Warriors would win.
But 86 Celtics are very representative. They only lose to the Bulls and Warriors. 83 Sixers, which stomped everybody they played. Funny, I would and then I would go 0-1 Lakers as well. Even though again they're a 56-win team. The 0-1 Lakers were built for that. They were built for a playoff run. But again, they're the teams they played were not the teams that they did dominate. They swept the West, but that was the worst to me. That was the worst version of the Spurs that they swept. They swept them by 110.
Who you talking about?
I'm talking about 0-1 the Lakers. So remember when they swept in the conference finals, they swept the Spurs. It was about 28, 29 points a game.
Oh,
hey, JB, you back with us?
I don't know.
I mean, again, at the end of the day, and again, this is all fun. See, when I say these things, it's just my opinion, and you can have a debate off of that. I'm never going to kill anybody for their opinion. I'm going to bring up, and that's why I did. Me and T Perfect, we had the first of its kind. I believe we had that type of debate where, again, I said I took a team that didn't win a championship, and I took my favorite player, Magic, a team where he did, because he told me Magic wasn't great unless he had Kareem. Again, stupid. It's just a stupid point. The fact that he got to a finals without Kareem tells me otherwise, right? But I said, okay.
What do you think is the best team to not win a title
of all time? Yeah. I'm gonna go to the obvious one. But see the thing. I remember I asked you that question.
There's only one answer.
It's the Dubs, so I'm gonna take the obvious one out.
Yeah, it's the Warriors.
I'm gonna take that one out. So other
Okay,
than the
so
Dubs, which is the obvious one, the second best team. I'm gonna say
mine might surprise you.
I think you told me already. You told me the Lakers of '04. Is you still with that one?
Oh, yeah, I like that one too. There's another one that I didn't think of.
I'm 91 Lakers did have some problems, but they were still great.
Oh, they were too injured, bro. They weren't winning it.
Yeah, but I mean, before the injuries, they in the West they really showed out against. They swept them. They swept Hakeem. They beat the hell out of the Run TMC, and then they beat the Blazers in 6. But let's see. Not gonna go 91. 88 Pistons. The 88 Pistons will really, but I still like other teams better than them. You know what? I'm gonna go 88 Pistons. I'm gonna go 88 Pistons.
If I don't say the 04 Lakers or the 73-9 Warriors team, mine would be the 2002 Sacramento Kings.
That's it, bro. So we see again. We agree on something but they would again. That team was crazy. That team was crazy. Vlade being Vlade. I think it was the best version of Vlade. This is the Vlade that had all of his bag. Like he could pass. His passing was great, but then Stojakovic. That was the best of Stojakovic. Unfortunately, he fell off real quickly after that. Like by the time Stojakovic is in Dallas, he's not even close to the same player. But Christie Bibby was at his peak, and that was the best of C Webb. So a lot of those guys got to their very individual peak. Rick Adams was the perfect coach for them, and I felt they had the Bulls beat. I mean, the Lakers beat. But at the end of the day,
can't beat the 6 man on the court.
Hey. But
when they got 6 players on the court.
At the end of the day, it's like, bro, at the end of the day, we have these, and again, I always love to like think of these teams and simulations, because again, I want to try to perfect that, because me and T Perfect made that debate, and it was Darton was saying it was hard to judge because Go Cats got 13 Spurs. If Duncan wasn't 38, I might agree with you. But they were talking about Danny Green being Finals MVP midway through that series. But of course, CW is gonna pick a Spurs team, because that's why it wasn't even fair that he was the goddamn judge for my debate, because obviously he was gonna pick the guy that picked the Spurs. But no, at the end of the day, it's like I want to have that debate, and then I want to kind of incorporate where you're in the coach's shoes, and how do you, these two teams from cross eras, how do you, like, what do you do? Like, what do you correct? How do you use your team, right? Like, what strategy? Who are you going to go to? Who are you going to feature or whatever? And then I guess you could simulate it to ChatGPT. But then you also, you take the historical perspective and use a debate to convince judges that my team will win this 7-game series against so-and-so team from another era. So it was hard to do. It was really hard to conceptualize. And I think T Perfect cheated, because he didn't even tell the judges that goddamn Terry Porter at 38 was his point guard. And somehow he convinced the judges that Terry Porter at point guard would be as effective as Magic Johnson, who was goddamn second in MVP. But I'll digress. And then he said, "Oh, I'm gonna get Duncan to get 35 points a game." Duncan never averaged more than 32 points a game in any single series. Like, Duncan is not the guy to go get 35. And if that's your strategy, I got enough bigs to slow down Duncan from trying to get 35. But that's just me. That was something I was trying to do. Because I really think player versus player debates are boring, but it is what it is. And I'll just say I don't dwell on it. That's why I brought up Scottie Pippen tonight. Again, I think we need to understand how good Scottie Pippen was, because he was damn sure good. I'm gonna put him over. He was an All-NBA defender every single year of the 90s, from 1990 to 2000. Actually, that's 11 straight years, to be honest. I think he might have missed one All-NBA defense, but he was on one of the teams, either offense or he's a All NBA, All NBA defense. Like, you look at his resume, it's amazing, man. But I just wanted people to understand it with certain limitations. Scottie was not the guy to go out and well, he did have a 47-point game that I learned is his career high. I'm not. I think he might have had a couple of games over 40, which again is great, especially in his era. It was, look, he wasn't in an era where Corey Brewer could have got 50. I don't care what you say. And Corey Brewer was a nice defensive player, but Corey Brewer getting 50 and T.J. Warren getting 50, I mean, it's a lot different. These guys ain't doing that in the 90s. I'm sorry, it's just the pace alone, So again, Lamar, I don't kill the 90s. I don't kill the 90s, but I level set the 90s. The 90s had its issues.
What it is, man. The NBA screwed the 90s up, man. They made all the teams
No, they actually, again, come on now. Look, the historically perspective, the league blew up. The league actually, the explosion.
The price you pay with expansion, man. They paid the price with talent.
No, how? How did they do it? How did they do it? See, Lamar, again, you got to understand.
You have to have some bad years or some bad teams if you want to expand. That's expansion.
Yes, you're right.
That's the
you're
price.
Right.
But it paid off. It paid great dividends. Look, you got Miami became good. I mean, you got ultimately the Vancouver Grizzlies moved to Memphis, but there's a lot of good that came out of it. But there was a price to pay that came with the expansion.
So off the bat, yes, you're going to have bad basketball. But you're also going to have guys who wouldn't have been in the league. Like I said, Bruce Bowen benefited from expansion because 3 years after graduating Cal State Fullerton, he was in Italy in the CBA. Now with expansion, he gets a job.
Let me ask this question real quick.
Sure.
First of all, the league started off with X amount of teams. It's always expanded. It expanded in the 60s. It expanded with the ABA-NBA merger.
Thank you.
Right? It expanded. Dallas Mavericks was an expansion team in the early 80s, right?
Yep.
So the expansion.
JB, I think you fell. You hear, JB? Okay, so I'm gonna just jump on what he said. The expansion allowed. Again, they put together a team pretty quickly down there in Dallas. Now you got Rolando Blackman, Derek Harper, Mark Aguirre on the team, James Donaldson, guys like that. Expansion means financial gain. Financial gain eventually levels out and helps the league overall. So yeah, you got some bad teams right away. That's going to happen.
But what was different about the expansion of the teams that expanded the league going into the 90s? What was different about that expansion versus, for example, the expansion of like the 70s or even because in the 90s, not only did you expand at the end of the 80s going into the 90s, then you had an additional expansion in 95. So what was unique about those 6 teams that got added? What was unique about it, and this is why I say it impacted the talent in the entire league, is that they did something for those 6 teams that they had never done before. It was called draft compensation. So, for example, when you look at the Charlotte Hornets, remember that draft where they drafted Tony Delk and Kobe Bryant?
Yeah, I know.
Because they got an extra pick because of draft compensation. So imagine this. What if they don't have that extra draft compensation pick and a team like the Indiana Pacers, they draft Kobe Bryant, right? You completely start to reshape and rewire the landscape. But all of these expansion teams had so many extra picks and so many opportunities to get better. This is why Orlando got good real fast. Miami got good real fast. Charlotte Hornets got good real fast. But you know who didn't get good real fast? The Celtics struggled to get better. The Clippers were struggling to get better. Right? There were a lot of teams that have been here. They can't get better because they don't have the benefits of being an expansion team. So there was a price to pay that came with it. This was unlike the expansion of the 70s or any of the other expansions that we've seen in NBA history.
Okay, yes. And remember the 70s.
Really good.
Remember the 70s, and again, okay, part of the 70s, and this is why the Lakers and Celtics where it would become dynasties in the 80s is because you had a lot of struggling franchises, right? That like New Orleans that just gave up their first round pick for Gail Goodrich. Well, Gail Goodrich was going to sell tickets because he was that good of a player, right? Everybody remember him as the great from UCLA. But New Orleans was never. They were going to sell some tickets so they could keep their lights on, but they were never going to be good enough to like go on a serious playoff run, right? Well, then they were bad. Their pick wound up being the number one pick. They got Magic Johnson. Same thing. Lakers are winning championships and getting the number one pick. They get James Worthy at 82. Then they trade they were able to trade Norm Nixon for Byron Scott. But again,
that's much different from the NBA helping you.
I get it.
Knew how to finesse teams out of their number one picks, but that's much different than the NBA saying, "Hey, here you go. Here's an extra pick."
I get it.
Different.
But see, I think what evens itself out.
It's gonna be hard for you to not.
No, I get it, but what evens itself out at the end of the day, and this is the thing, you got to go get talent, right? So more talent now has more jobs. Again, people weren't looking at Bruce Bowen. People weren't looking at Ben Wallace. Those guys were two only one. You couldn't be a one-way player defensively and get a job. Now, all right, we'll put this guy in. Oh, okay. And then we also had high school players. It got, we all know the first four that came in, right? Kevin Garnett, Kobe, and Jermaine O'Neal, and then T-Mac. Those were all four of those guys we can't miss. But in 98, the second best player of the 98 high school class was Corleone Young. A lot of people, Al Harrington was number one, and Corleone. So Al Harrington made it. Corleone Young got drafted by the Pistons, I believe. But Corleone Young played like, 6, 7. So he got to the point where top level McDonald's All-American was skipping college. And they had a lot of holes in their game. And their games like Lenny Cooks of the world, they were never realized. If Lenny Cook goes and, a lot of these guys probably weren't qualifying to play for anybody anyway. That's why they had to come up with the one and done rule and the G League to give players alternate ways to get to the league without having to go through the NCAA, right? Or guys that go overseas and get forgot about. See, it's funny. We scout guys. We scout the Australian players and the European players, but if one of our guys go play and we don't want to scout them, you know what I'm saying? So that's where then the international came in. So a lot of things, and like I said, at the end of the day, expansion itself helped the league. Now when you're looking at international players, you're also having okay, these international players, they bring a different skill set, right? That's why I try to tell you, man, 90s was built off toughness. 90s forwards, you had to be tough. Rudy Gobert is a big croissant. He's not gonna take kindly to a lot of elbow throwing. There was a lot of elbow throwing in the lane. I'm not saying Rudy Gobert never ate an elbow, but not like 30 a night like you probably would in the 80s and 90s, and that's just the way it was. So, look,
they weren't throwing elbows like that in the 90s. They were
down. Bro, you showed me. Johnny showed me. Johnny showed me, and you showed me on your share screen.
I watched so many games. I know that the physicality of the 90s is a myth. You showed me the 96 finals. Hold on, all
Lamont.
Basketball in NBA history is physical, unless you're talking about the 60s.
JB keep falling off. I would say he was here. You showed me a clip. The first thing that happened was Rodman tomahawk chopping Frank Bogowski.
That's not physicality. That's just a stupid foul.
But it was no. But you see, you call it a stupid foul. Number one, it's intimidation.
No,
it's one of those.
No, that's not a real thing. Nobody gets intimidated at the NBA level.
Sir, that's what I'm saying. When you don't have to deal with Charles Oakley throwing elbows on a box out of a free throw.
Karl Malone took Isaiah Thomas out. Did it stop Isaiah Thomas from driving to the basket?
Of course not, because Isaiah Thomas was built like that. A lot of players are not built like that because they never had to deal with that.
Ever see in the 90s a hard elbow stop a guy from driving and scoring? When did he just say, fuck it, I'm not never driving again? Did it stop Dominique? Did it stop Jordan? Did it stop any good driver?
You're
Any good
talking
slasher?
about the people that were built like that.
No, hold on. None of them. It didn't stop anybody. It didn't stop Alex English. Alex English was even more of a finesse player. But none of this physicality stopped anybody from driving to the basket.
I'll put it this way. It discouraged you. You're not.
Look.
Let me ask you this. Because hold on.
Fake.
In baseball, do you watch baseball? Were you ever a baseball fan?
Oh, baseball and basketball are two different sports.
No, I get it. I'm making this point for a reason. Were you ever a baseball fan? Like I love all sports. So if I'm missing you, I'm missing you. But did you ever watch baseball? Did you ever follow baseball at all?
Yes.
Okay. You understand that was like Big Papi was notorious for this. Big Papi leaned over the plate, so he was able to take away a pitcher's strike zone and actually hit balls out of the zone because he leaned over the plate.
He started to play. I get. Yeah. Okay. He started to play.
All right. You know the medicine for a guy like Big Papi, what a pitcher would do? Chin music, right? So hard fouls to the basket, elbow, stuff like that. That's the answer for a guy who can attack the basket at will.
Who did it make stop driving?
It made Michael Jordan, but it might Michael Jordan stop driving as much.
Oh, you just said
between that, yes. See,
if you're hard fouling, that means if you're trying to do it to deter him from doing it anymore.
Yes.
Did it ever stop Jordan from driving?
It stopped him from driving as much because you're not going to take that many.
Bro, lived in the paint.
Are you kidding me?
Jordan lived in the paint for his first 7 years.
Okay. Again, part of the Jordan rules of the Pistons. And JB, you can attest if you. JB, are you here?
No, I'm here.
We had John Scottie on the show. He explained the Jordan rules.
Again, part of the Jordan rules were meant for Jordan to take physical beating.
John Scottie came on my show.
You cannot do this, Lamar. You cannot.
He said that's not true.
John Sally came on my show and told everybody what the Jordan rules were.
So none of it was physical intimidation for Jordan.
He said
they're clotheslining the dude like Legion of Doom, and none of it was about intimidation.
It was not.
Come on, bro.
Come on, man. Come on, dog. We watched it, man. Come on, dog. We watched it. I watched that.
Isaiah Thomas got mad.
Legion of Doom in there, like Road Warriors clotheslines.
Pistons is dirty players because all they would do was put the one or two hard fouls on replay, making it seem like they was killing Jordan on every single play when it was actually legit defense.
Time out. It's not about every single possession. It's not about every. It's not about every single possession. And we're not saying. Wait a minute. Nobody said.
He'll act like he won't. No, real quick. I'm gonna give it to you. He'll act like he don't understand my analogy. He will act like he don't understand my analogy with Big Papi. Well, they're not gonna throw chin music at Big Papi either. They're gonna throw it enough to know. See what I'm saying?
This is why revisionist. This is why the revisionist perspective is so misleading and it's actually dangerous because John Sally. He'll come on one show and say one thing, and then he'll go on another show and say another thing. Because when John Sally was on the Bulls, the 72-win Bulls in '96, John Sally said he called his mama up and said, "You know what, mama? I just realized that I played on the team and got to see the greatest player who ever played."
Lying about the Jordan rules.
The thing is, we're not saying Detroit was an all-time great defensive team. They was an all-time great defensive team. They did play textbook defense a lot of times. But when it came to that man right there, matter of fact, the Bad Boys documentary that aired on ESPN, Isaiah Thomas, he said after game three of the 89 Eastern Conference Final, when this was the Detroit Pistons having their best season, going 63-19. They was pursuing their first championship. Jordan led the Bulls to a 2-1 series lead when he dropped 46 points in Game 3. Isaiah Thomas said that he sat on the steps of Lake Michigan And then he got on the phone with Joe Dumars and they talked all night about how to stop 23 and red. And then he called his assistant coach, Brandon Malone, and said, we finally got a way to stop Jordan. And most of that was due to now it was born out of defensive principles, but the physicality that they focused on applying on that one man.
What was the number one rule in the Jordan?
Wait. Wasn't
It's
Scottie having
unprecedented.
headaches about playing the same
It's unprecedented.
systems?
Hold on. What was the number one rule in the Jordan rules?
You don't. I don't care about the technicalities.
It was it was 7 principles on defending Jordan. What was the number one rule?
Make him a jump shooter.
No.
Now he gonna say make him go left.
No,
Make
because
him
it was
go left.
the Pistons.
He just said 7 principles. Think about it. He just said 7 principles.
What you call progressions.
Think about it. They had to come up with 7 principles.
And like none of them, and like one of them was going to say beat the hell out of the dude. Obviously, we know at the end of the day,
none of them said that.
Of course, they wouldn't.
They not going to say it.
That's right. That's right.
That's been the biggest myth. This is why people take away from those Pistons teams.
Ain't nobody taking away from them. That's the point.
They were one of the best defensive teams of all time, and they weren't just hard fouling. Everybody hard fouled.
Okay, great. Lamont.
Nobody is taking away from the Pistons. But the reality is, the defense that they applied on Jordan was different than any defense they applied on any other superstar that they faced.
That's called game planning.
But it's called game planning. But what I'm saying is, Lamont, if they realized in 1989 when Pistons were pursuing their first championship, the toughest opponent that they faced in their playoff run when they went back to back was the Bulls. And they realized in '89 it was the Chicago Bulls.
Milwaukee had a blueprint. Milwaukee was a great defensive team. Boston had a
great defensive team.
Boston was a great defensive team, and the Pistons had a blueprint.
But what I'm saying, Lamont, is this is where the agenda to discredit Jordan. This is where the agenda to discredit Jordan is sprung out of. Nobody said Detroit was not a great team. Detroit Pistons should be recognized as an all-time great team.
Lamont.
But when it came to Michael Jordan, they realized if they didn't come up with them Jordan rules, Michael Jordan was going to beat them.
We know what was written on paper. We know what we saw on the court. Obviously, there was both strategy and. Go ahead.
So the first three games, whatever their strategy wasn't working.
Rakim, I'm glad you see it as well.
At that point, anytime you sitting on the steps of Lake Michigan and you talking with Joe Dumars all night long how to come up with a strategy to defeat this man, meaning if they had not did that, they would have lost to this dude. This was way before Pippen became Pippen. This was before Horace Grant became Horace Grant. If they didn't come up with that Jordan rule, he would have beat them.
Lamar, every time I try to talk to you, every time I have a conversation with you, I want you to understand two things could be right. It was a lot of technical.
What y'all are doing is y'all are relegating the Detroit Pistons.
No, we're not. We're not. We're telling you two things are true.
Detroit. Anytime you go back,
y'all just said they knocked Jordan out there.
If you go back to back, you're an all-time great team. If you go back to back, you're a great team. But the point is, on the bad boys that anybody listen to this podcast right now, go to YouTube and put
different whistle to Jordan, sending them to the free throw line.
Go to YouTube
when they were barely touching them.
See, this is where, and this is mainly coming from LeBron James fans, and this is really the root of the whole problem.
I'm not a LeBron James fan. Why the hell you keep bringing up LeBron?
Because most of the people who are discrediting this man are supporters of LBJ. Most of the people who are revisionists trying to rewrite the history. I've said here, I listened to everything that was being said. I didn't say one word. I didn't say a word. The fact of the matter is, Isaiah Thomas said himself. He sat on the steps of Lake Michigan all night long after they lost their game. After they lost their game 3,
What did they do on the court?
I'm saying at that
They
moment,
use all
What
that
were they
strategy
doing?
and they beat him
What
up.
was their
I said
strategy on the
at that
court?
moment,
What was their
they
Wow.
strategy on the court?
realized if they didn't
What was
change
their
their
strategy on the
strategy,
court?
they realized
What were they
Jordan led
doing
up
on
to
the
a
court?
two. Oh, wait a minute, here, just listen,
Don't give
because
me
I didn't say a word.
don't
I
give me
didn't
the
say one.
fictional story about
Bro,
Lake Michigan. Tell me
bro,
what was
have I been
happening on the
quiet? Have
court.
I been quiet
Yes,
the
you
whole time?
have.
Have I
Yes,
been
you
quiet the whole
have.
time? So please give me the liberty to speak. The fact of the matter is, in the heat of the moment in 1989, not looking back on it in 2025, in the heat of the moment in 1989, Isaiah Thomas realized if they didn't come up with something to neutralize this man, he was going to beat them just like he upset Cleveland in the first round, just like he upset the Knicks in the second round. If they didn't come up with that strategy to counter what he was doing, just to neutralize the man, he was going to beat them. Period. It don't take nothing away from Detroit. Detroit is an all-time great team. They won back-to-back championship. Nobody's taking anything away from Detroit. The problem is people trying to take away from Jordan. So what I'm saying is, in the heat of the moment, Chuck Daly, Mike Malone, the Pistons coaching staff, Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, John Sally, Mark Aguirre, Buda Edwards, they all realized if they didn't come together as an organization to counter what this man was doing, he was going to beat them before they won their first title.
See,
That's
here's
the
the thing.
reality.
Here's the thing.
It's
Here's
not
the
taken
thing.
away. It's not
Here's the
taken
thing.
away.
Here's the thing.
It's not taken.
One thing about me, I got it, JB. One thing. This whole conversation goes back to the fact that we had that I brought up the fact that 80s and 90s basketball, you had a certain level of intimidation. You had a certain level of toughness, especially with the big men, especially in the forwards, right? There's a reason why Kermit Washington and when Kareem cold cock old boy, the white guy that threw the elbow, there
Oh,
was a
Pippen,
certain level of that was going on in front court, right? And okay, there's always going to be an intimidation and a toughness factor. You could to be a big man and play down low and be a power forward and hit the boards the way you had to. There had to be a certain level of toughness, and there were certain guys you would have to. Again, as I said, intimidation. I'm not trying to act like the Pistons were not great technical defenders. But part
they
of
play textbook defense.
they played great textbook defense. But part of it, especially for guys like even Bird had to go through it, was that intimidation factor where you're gonna have when pretty much if he's killing us, all right, let's send him a message file. And again, Scottie Pippen had nightmares going against the Pistons, bro. It shows in the numbers. See, again, y'all don't want to hear that. Y'all don't want to hear that because it's now we're killing Scottie to make Michael look better. No, they all went through it. Again, like I said, that's why I brought up the Big Papi thing, because Chim, you do that to great sluggers, especially great sluggers who crowd the plate. You don't throw inside fastballs that are on everything. You gotta, you would just be walking them. Why don't you just intentionally walk? You throw the inside chin music, or you beam them a couple of times, and this leads to brawls to make them feel it. Oh, you're gonna lean over my plate? I'm gonna hit you with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball and see how you like it. That's why Barry Bonds, when he was doing it, when he was on the roids, he started wearing that guard on his head, right? You know what I'm saying? But again, it's called just so it's not like we're not saying that all the Pistons did was beat up people. No,
Joe Dumars didn't play like that. Joe Dumars, I mean, truth be told, if it wasn't for Joe Dumars and his ability to be a two-way player on offense and defense, Isaiah Thomas was the best player on the team. But if it wasn't for Joe Dumars, they not winning them two titles.
And again, this is what I say about nuanced conversations. We're not saying that it was
Can
beating.
I ask you one question, King Rob?
Go ahead.
And this is for both y'all. What is the hallmark of every or any all-time great I mean, really, if you just go year by year by year, And we can look at the best defense in every NBA season
Lamont,
that's ever
we're
been
not
played.
saying that we just
Hold on, let me
arguably
finish
Detroit.
what I'm
The
saying.
So
Detroit
let me get out. Let me get it out. Let me get it out.
arguably, the Detroit Pistons is the greatest defensive
Listen,
team of
no,
all
I'm not
time.
talking about that.
The
That's
issue
not where I'm
is
going with this.
the
All right,
issue
let me
is
get the question out. Let me get the question out.
okay.
I said, like, for example, because I'm a defensive coach. My team every year, we are the best defensive team in the country.
You told us.
What is the hallmark of every great defensive team that strives to be like number one? Is physicality. Every great defensive team, like even if you go to this year, we look at the OKC Thunder. What's the number one thing that stood out about their defense? It was the physicality.
Of course.
So when we talk about,
but they weren't even the most physical team in the league. But you're right.
The one thing that goes hand in hand with great defenses is physicality. It's not just something that the Pistons had in the 80s. Every team that's an all-time or really good defense, they lead with, like, you cannot be a great defense without physicality. That's from the 60s all the way to now.
We're not saying that, Lamar. We're saying
great.
Isaiah Thomas said himself.
Physicality is not hacking.
We're not saying what I'm saying. When it came to
Jordan was getting hacked.
This is the reality. This is the reality.
Bona fide, legit stops they were making on him, and it didn't take knocking him out the air.
Now, of course, we never
said every single possession, Lamont. The problem is,
as John Sally said on my show, the times that they knocked Jordan out the air was the shit talking times. Oh, Jordan called him a B word. Okay, all right. A lot of it was just from the banter that you can't hear when you watching it on the TV.
And of course, Jordan was going to talk shit a lot, right?
Sally embellishes stuff, dude. I seen them do 10 different versions of the same story.
All right.
But you not.
Let me give an honest answer. Let me give an honest way to answer.
A lot of tough questions. I mean,
all right. See, come on, we get it. Physicality, again, right? That is, again. There's a long way between. Of course, we know that the Pistons were physical, and them being straight up hackers. They weren't doing WWE moves on every play. See, when we say that they were physical, and then we also said they were intimidators. Hold on. They were intimidators.
Isaiah Thomas alluded to it. Isaiah Thomas said himself. He said,
"Meaning they will send you messages. They will like."
What do you mean by what is sending you a message?
A physical message.
Isaiah Thomas said himself. He said, when we come to your gym.
Okay, Lamar, you realize that the biggest reason why the flagrant foul exists is because probably, and again, it probably was Jordan complaining. That's one thing we agree. But it was the late. It was the Pistons.
All the superstars
taking it up a notch.
Bird complained about it. Reggie Miller, Dominique.
Thank you.
All the superstars that faced it. Brad Daugherty.
Anybody. See, there's a difference between physical. See, Lamar cannot have the nuanced conversation, and I've said this in the comments, and I'm gonna say it now on stream. There's a difference between being physical and dirty. Now, if you being a defensive coach, you know that there's a line that you cross between. At worst, the Pistons were habitual line steppers. But hold on, Lamont. They weren't the only team. See, say again.
Are you saying the Pistons were a dirty team?
They were habitual line steppers.
But what I'm saying, we were saying, Lamont, is let's break this down.
Okay, see, he gonna tell me no, they're not, and this is where Lamont loses all credit and credibility.
Let's break this down. Detroit. The fact that they broke through the Laker and Celtic dominance show how great they were. Nobody said.
I want to know. And if anybody, if anybody from Lamar FYF said or whatever, again, I tried to play it. I tried to lay it out real flat. There's a line because he wants me to go. Lamar wants you to go on one side or the next. He doesn't understand nuance. There's a line.
Go ahead, Detroit. This is the fact of the matter. This is the fact of the matter. This is the fact of the matter. This is the fact of the matter.
Okay.
Number one, the Bulls and the Pistons had a hater.
No way y'all watched the game.
Time out. The Bulls and the Pistons had a hater rivalry. That's the first thing. It was probably the most intense.
So it got personal. It was a whole
Okay.
thing between
And plus,
the freeze out. We all know
yeah.
that as well.
And Detroit and
That factors
Chicago
into it.
was within relatively close
Narrative.
proximity to
Not
each other.
nobody's
That's
talking about
another
the
Now
thing.
it's
actual
not. Now
game.
it's
Okay.
not narrative. That's
So
Nobody's
actually
talking
fact.
about the
If
game.
those two
Everybody's talking
people,
narrative.
hold on,
Narrative.
Lamont. If those two people have conversations
Game.
about it, okay.
Talk the game.
All right. Here's
okay,
it. I'm gonna say it
this is
again.
what it comes down to.
No. Let me have it,
What
man. Let
happened?
me have it
Okay,
real
okay,
quick. Let
okay,
me have it
okay.
real quick. Because again, this is what we're gonna keep talking over each other and not get to the point. At
Talk
the
about
end
how
of the day,
Jordan averaged 7 free throws a game shooting jumpers versus the Pistons, not
okay.
driving to the basket and hard foul.
All right. Again. See. It's not. This is not just about Jordan because it didn't start about Jordan and the Jordan rules. This actually started about saying that the 80s and 90s had a lot more physical play than you see today, and that's just a fact.
But here
At
go
the end
Ro.
of
Here
the
go Ro.
Oh
The
no,
show.
I'm gonna get it.
Okay, okay.
Players don't
No,
Okay.
because he
dictate
wants
physicality. The
to
refs in
paint
the
it one
NBA
way or
do.
the other. Hold on, he wants to
Players
paint it.
don't dictate physicality.
Oh my God!
The refs
Look,
do, and the NBA
look.
does.
I'm gonna say it right now. I'm muting everybody. There's a difference between physical and dirty. There's a line. There's a line that you cross. We all know it. Anybody that's played basketball, Jermaine, you're over 6 feet. I'm over 6 feet. I think Lamont. I don't think you were a guard. You said when you played, right? But I play. I'm usually a forward. I can play good, whatever. Everybody, whatever level basketball you play, court, whatever. There's a line between physicality and dirty. The Pistons were habitual line steppers. If that's the best way to play it. Well, I'm not just acting like they were just these monster beaters, hackers. Because trust me, we fight with guys. And guess what? The Pistons got in a lot of fights. The Pistons drew a lot of blood on their fouls.
They sure did. They sure.
You
I mean,
understand what I'm saying?
that's just the reality,
So
man.
that's just the reality of it.
That's
And
just
they
the
were
reality.
not the only team. They were X-Men. You think these teams had intimidating players? They had big forwards whose job was to get rebounds and lay hard fouls when necessary. I mean, come on now. We cannot sit here and deny it. I'm not trying to act like these guys were WWE wrestlers. But again, the Pistons were one of the biggest habitual line steppers, and it was one of the things that helped them enhance their defense. So again, I'm not trying to act like the Pistons all they did. No, you can't just sit there dirty fouling all day. But by the same token, with no flagrant foul rule, you can throw as many dirty fouls as you want. That's why we have the flagrant foul rule, and now we have the flagrant 1 and 2, where
And here
we
Ro. Here go, Ro. Here go.
yeah.
Okay, first of all, okay, the Pistons lost 2 games that whole postseason. They went 15-2. They swept Boston. I believe the second round opponent, I think, was it Milwaukee, if I'm not mistaken. It was Milwaukee. And then they faced the Bulls and they played the Lakers in the final. They lost 2 games in the whole postseason. Okay. The following year, the only series where they went the distance was against the Bulls. In the final versus Portland, they beat them in 5. They won 3 road games. They won 3 road games in Portland. So let's lay the groundwork for what we're talking about. Okay. So you go against the Bulls who upset Cleveland, who a lot of people predicted Cleveland to actually win the championship. Not the Lakers, not the Pistons, right? It was the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jordan knocked them out of there in the first round. He upset the New York Knicks in the second round. The dude was playing out of this freaking world. You go against the Pistons in game 1. The Bulls go in Detroit in Auburn Hills, the Palace of Auburn Hills. They beat them in game 1. So the pressure's already on Detroit, right? Okay, Detroit ties the series. The series shifts back to Chicago for the next 2 games. The game 3 was actually Detroit was kind of controlling game 3, and then here come the Bulls. Here come Jordan surging back, right? And he literally, I think people got to understand what was at stake. Do you realize if he had beat the Pistons before his time, they may not ever won a title because both teams were clashing at the same time. Okay, so you go up 2-1, right? And the Pistons like, wait a minute. This supposed to be our year. This dude's standing in the way. They weren't reacting like that to any other superstar they faced in the playoffs.
Bud Jordan, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
Jordan.
Jordan,
Remember Bird?
but
Remember
Michael
Bird?
Jordan,
Hold on, man.
Bird, not
Remember
Magic.
Bird was out of the way already with the
Right.
back issues, but
They
yeah, I know what
they
you
didn't
mean.
have that same type of concern going against Clyde, and Clyde was a beast, but they beat him in 5 games. This dude was standing in the way of them going down in history. So you go up 2-1. Jordan dropped 46, and he hit that shot on Rodman and Isaiah when he was fading away from the basket. He kissed it off the glass. That was one of the most wicked shots I've ever seen. Okay, so like Isaiah Thomas said, and then Chuck Daly said, Michael Jordan's so good, he's really an embarrassment to the rest of the league. And he also said, when it got to the point where they started employing the Jordan rules, he said it doesn't entail me guarding you, it entails the whole team guarding you. So what I'm saying is that's a whole nother level of defensive focus, especially on a perimeter-oriented player.
I know,
Okay.
and you know, and again, the Bulls don't have much around them. Scottie
was, and Grant was in his second year.
affected too,
They was coming along. They was coming along, but that wasn't Pip. That was Scottie Pippen. That wasn't Pip.
And yeah, Pip was intimidated by that play as well.
He was intimidated. He even said it himself. Pippen said he didn't feel comfortable driving to the basket. He said it himself. Okay, so Pistons understood if they didn't focus in on this dude, I ain't talking about regular season game. I'm talking about with the money on the line. He was going to beat them. So at that, out of desperation, this was like this effort, like, man, this is what we're gonna do. That's when the Jordan rules came to life, man, because they realized if they didn't do that, Michael Jordan was going to beat them, man. That's what it comes. It's not knocking them because they won the title. They are all-time great team. But the fact of the matter is, this was a different individual, man. It's like I'm gonna take.
Look.
You can see the intimidation.
Yeah. Look.
Go to game 1.
We know it. Look, man. Let me do this.
Okay.
Like any player, guys got 9 home runs on you. What do? What do they do? They throw inside. They hit them. They beat them. A guy's killing you over the middle. What do? They give him a hit. This is sports. And physicality and intimidation is part of the game. And that's why the truly greatest of the greatest can deal with it. As I'm saying, like I said,
So
LeBron himself even said, he killed himself doing it, talking about give us a month to deal with the physicality of the playoffs. So right there in the back, right off the bat, that tells you that LeBron is already admitting the physicality, the threshold and the levels they allow you to be physical is different. There are different parts of the season, which is crazy. He said that, right? But he said it, and he's admitting that there's a certain thing, and then he's admitting, dealing with physicality. He said, give us a month. He didn't say give us a month off. A lot of people thought he said that. No, he said give us a month where you're starting to call physical, which is crazy to even say. The rule books change and the amount of physical play that they leave. But LeBron himself, I don't want to make this all about LeBron, but if he is one of the faces of this era, then he's telling you himself. Physicality is something you have to deal with. And you know that as well as I do, Lamont. Again, we know that there's a difference between physicality and dirty. Everybody knows that line. And as I said, the Pistons weren't the Legion of Doom or the Road Warriors or the Demolition, but they were habitual line steppers.
Even Dennis Rodman
that's put
said
it
our
nicely.
job was to knock them, put them to the ground.
Games, right?
Even
All right,
Dennis Rodman
let Lamar have it. Let Lamar have it because we're about to end in a few minutes.
We were on news break, and I'm gonna send you the link to the news break. So John Sally, the one thing that stood out to me, the one thing that he mentioned to me that he said was, he says everybody thinks we were forcing Jordan left because he couldn't score going left,
which he could.
And John Sally said,
we know.
John Sally said that's the biggest myth of it all. He said we forced him left because he said when we trapped him going left, he struggled to play make going left and make that pass coming off his left hand. And so, like for example, in the game that he emphasized, or there were a couple games that he talked about, but If you can go back and watch the games where when they were super successful at doing this. I think it was like Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals of '89 when Jordan in the second half or the fourth quarter they forced Jordan into 4 turnovers, trapping him going left. He had a horrible game, 18 points, I think 30 like
Wait a
less than
minute,
40.
man. Game 3 of '89. That's when he dropped the 46 and they went up 2-1.
No.
That was '89.
Hold on, my guy. I'm just going off of memory. I could be wrong about the games, but I'm not. But I can pull it up.
It's okay. We don't do gotcha over here. The memory is hard.
All I'm saying is when he reeled off about 5 different games because he had them written down where he said these are the games where I can circle them because I remember vividly. These were the games where we had the most success in trapping them, going left, forcing them into a playmaker. And it was a couple games that he had highlighted where there was one game I think Jordan had 7 turnovers. There was another game where Jordan had but it was a lot of games. So basically, when you look to a lot of the games where Jordan did poorly against the Pistons, look at his turnovers. Those games, they were forcing them into turning the ball over because they were forcing them left to get him to playmate going left. That's what he struggled with. And listening to him break it down, you then start to realize this is more of tactical. It's not super physical and hacking. This is a tactical strategy.
We're not saying it's not. We're not
saying that. See, this is what I say.
My only thing I've been trying to say is you need to separate hard fouls from physicality and physical defense.
See, the thing is, like I said, Lamont, this is one of those situations we were both right.
Something that you can do. But anybody can go out there and hard foul, but not anybody can go out there and defend.
I got you. See, but that's what I'm saying, Lamont, from the beginning.
That's why y'all dumb down Bill.
But hold on, Lamont. Nah, but Lamont, again,
don't you realize
we both said from the beginning there was physicality, intimidation, as well as technique.
Jordan didn't care about hard fouls.
I got you.
No, he did. But don't you realize playing Jordan got them
the guy who was scoring all the points.
By going against him in the playoffs as many times they did, that's what ultimately they reached they full potential on defense going against this dude in the playoff. So when they went to the finals and went up against when they went against the talented Portland team, I guarantee you they didn't feel the same angst going up against the other superstars than they felt going up against that dude. I guarantee you that.
Look,
I guarantee you that. Because the history shows it.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Portland in 5. They win 7 against Chicago in 1990. They lose 2 games all postseason '89, and the 2 games they lost was to Michael Jordan in the playoffs. So the history is showing you the greatest opposition that they had to their titles was going up against this dude.
Again, So, look, it's getting late, man. I got my family here. So happy 4th of July, bro. I really hope y'all have a great time with your families and all that, man. Shit. The next year, the country be 250 years old. At the end of the day, like I said, look, there's nuances to everything, man. There's nuances to everything. Like all I've tried to say is, we understand that the Pistons were great technically as well, but in addition to that technical stuff, makes it a lot easier when you can be physically intimidating. Intimidation is part of the game. Intimidation is a part of every strategy.
That's the entertainment. That's how they sell tickets, and that's how they sell the game.
That's
not what they do to win games. Entertainment is to trick you into believing that they out there mugging people and tearing them out the air. Jordan's overcoming some King Kong dinosaurs that are killing them. That's the entertainment.
Again,
you win basketball games with real defense, and that's the boring part of it.
Did you see the guy that quoted Bird?
This is my last question.
Did you see the guy that quoted Bird?
This is my last question of the night. In '89 Eastern Conference Finals, if they had not come up with the Jordan rules midway in that series, would have overcame that deficit and beat the Bulls?
If they didn't come up with a tactical strategy to slow Jordan, no, they probably don't.
There you go.
It was tactical, and it was
my whole thing is, I'm not saying the Jordan rules did not work. I'm saying the Jordan rules was not hack Jordan.
We gonna end it.
You beat Jordan with a defensive plan.
See, Lamont agrees with us. It was both tactical and physical. It was both
physical
tactical and
defense is not
intimidating.
hacking is not physical defense. Hacking is stupid.
See, okay.
Hacking is stupidity. Good
Okay.
defense does not foul. Good defense wins games. Good
But
defense.
I said tactical as well as physical, Lamont. See, even
Physical
you admit
defense is not a hack.
here's when you caught yourself. Even you
Physical
said as a
defense
great,
is not hacking.
but Lamont, even I just said okay, but we never said it was all hacking.
That is
We
not.
we never said it was all hacking, Lamont. I just said
it's not even in the
so,
game.
Lamont. You agree with us? You agree with us because you said
what y'all were trying to pretend as if that part
Lamont
of the game.
doesn't get it.
Hey, basically, y'all saying they huddled up at a lake. We're gonna hack Jordan, and he's gonna.
I didn't say
That's
that.
how we gonna win.
I said this is what
Hell no,
this
dude.
is specifically what I said.
I told you Lamont listens very poorly.
Jordan,
I said he said on Lake Michigan.
Oh God, I got
He said on Lake Michigan all them hours just to come up with hack
all
Jordan.
night long.
And they said hack
and then
Jordan.
they came up with a strategy. I didn't say anything about hacking. I didn't say anything about hacking.
Was the strategy hard fouls or an actual defensive strategy?
Bro, didn't we just say we didn't bring up anything about hacking? I'm saying
that's all my whole point was. It ain't hacking.
I didn't say anything about hacking. I said that the fact that they had to talk all night and then go to the coaching staff and say, "Okay,
you have to talk all night to strategize against Jordan." That's strategy.
But that's what he did, though.
Y'all said they were hacking, beating him up.
No, okay, we said it was part of that.
We just didn't say anything about like trying to, end his career.
Yo, JB, we got him at this. We got him at this point because he still missed the point.
That's the point I'm missing, bro.
Okay, you said as a defensive coach, part of great physical. I mean, part of great defense is physicality. I just
think you know what defensive physicality is.
No.
Cutters through the lane. That's physicality.
No, see, that's
not
the thing.
Allowing your man to go middle. That's physicality.
I've just said all the Pistons didn't just
helping outside the lane lines early. That's physicality.
Again, Lamont.
Hacking a guy driving through the middle of the lane is not physicality. That's the defense breaking down.
Bro, you keep stuck on the word hacking.
That's what it is. That's all it is.
But no, I said
is on ball pressure. Physicality in defense is taking the middle away.
An extra bump, beating a guy to a spot.
It has nothing to do with knocking a guy out the air.
Okay, but
did we say anything about knocking anybody out the air?
I clearly said it wasn't like the Pistons were the Legion of Doom. When I say that, we all know. Think about a Legion. Think about a Road Warriors wrestling match, right? They closed on you like 15 times. I literally said the Pistons were not like the Legion of Doom, but they would do it once or twice.
We got into this conversation because that's what y'all started off saying.
No. I actually started off saying that the 90s had a level of physicality. The 80s and 90s had a certain level of physicality.
Every era has a level of physicality.
Of course, but it was a little bit more than what you see today.
What the refs allow you to do, because we just saw in this year's playoffs when the refs lighten up that whistle, every team is going to give more physicality. The Pistons versus the Knicks was physical, wasn't it? Because the refs lightened that whistle up.
Of course.
That's how y'all got that lucky win when y'all fouled old boy in the corner.
Now we got a lucky win.
I mean, shit.
Because we were Legion. We got a lucky win because we were Legion of Doom.
Have shown you if the refs don't call it, they're gonna get more and more physical. They're gonna do more and more. They're gonna toe that line. Basically, they're gonna grab more. They're gonna do more things. But the refs dictate what you can and can't do, not the players.
Got you. And again, it's what they go call. And again, when the line was to the point where you got players possibly getting hurt, they brought in the flagrant foul rule. Then they turned it into a flagrant. They got more than flagrant one and flagrant two.
They had to keep their savior safe.
And everybody else. And everybody else.
Nobody else but Jordan.
They didn't care about they didn't care about Grant Hill.
Jordan, we all know the flagrant foul.
They didn't care about Grant Hill. They didn't care about Penny.
And this is where see they want to talk about narratives. All the superstar. Charles Barkley complained about it. Dominique Wilkins complained about it. Reggie Miller, Reggie Lewis, Larry Bird, Brad
who went to the
Daugherty,
NBA and
Mark
wrote a letter
Price,
complaining about it?
Particularly in the Eastern Conference, Patrick
Who
Ewing.
wrote a letter to David Stern complaining about it?
But I'm saying all of them did. They would.
But
Reggie Miller went to the papers.
Bro, my start. Look at the
Reggie
start.
Miller,
Look at the screen.
Reggie Lewis.
bro, show
Y'all,
me.
but
You
see,
got to
they
show
want to
proof
make
of
it
this.
seem like
You
it
just
was
saying
all
names.
Jordan.
I got
A
proof of
lot of
Jordan.
Hold on,
Guys.
hold on, Lamont, real quick. Look at the screen.
Yeah.
James
Quote Larry
Worthy,
Bird.
James Worthy did too.
Hold on. He said, "Yeah, I know." They said the same thing about Bird. They said the same thing about John Stockton.
Okay, so
They
then
say John
so
Stockton's the
it was
dirtiest player in
multiple
NBA
play.
history.
Okay, but
John
okay,
Stockton
all
wasn't
right,
out there
you're
knocking
right.
people out the air.
So then you're basically making
Hold
our
on.
point that there was a certain level of physicality,
Was John
intimidation in the
Stockton hard
game.
fouling people? Was John Stockton hard fouling and knocking people out the air?
He-
Why is he
he-
called the dirtiest player in NBA history?
Because he look at 6'1", he would do it his way. He would do it his way. See, again,
Because he's a great defender.
yeah, that. But he also did a little. I mean,
Great
like,
defense is annoying as hell.
bro, have you ever coached a guy on how to pull the chair?
Yeah.
Okay, then. And that's a.
But that is not necessary in today's game.
You're right, because nobody posts up. I get it. It's because nobody can post you up. That I get it.
Back to the basket
is dead because y'all killed it. Because y'all let the Euros kill it, and that's why Keem Olajuwon would destroy this league.
National
That's
championship
hypothetical.
I was playing 7-footer versus St. John's. We didn't have a 7-footer on our team.
I got it.
He just played good defense. Shut his ass down.
I got it, and you're right. What year was that? Hold on, I don't want you to date yourself, but what year was that?
That was 2017, 2018.
Oh, 17. So you talking about 3 years after Jahlil Okafor's freshman year at Duke, where he won the national championship. You realize that Jahlil Okafor, unfortunately, was considered a dinosaur because nobody posts up anymore. We don't
doesn't work in the NBA unless you can face up.
Because the league. He had a decent triple threat. You realize Okafor averaged over 18, 19 in this league, right?
Yeah, college don't always.
No, in the NBA. But he averaged 18, 19 in the NBA.
I remember that. But
when
you get phased out, just like Michael Carter Williams got phased out.
You're right. And the style of play got phased out.
Are you telling me Michael Carter Williams is this great player as well? We rookie of the year?
No, look, I remember Michael Carter Williams. He damn near had a quadruple double against the Heat in his NBA debut.
Don't mean you're not a good player, but
I get it. Okay, so then are you telling me hold on. Are you telling me the Joker doesn't use the post game? The Joker used a lot of the post game, doesn't he?
I said the only way you can go back to the basket in today's game is if you are an elite passer. But if you are not an elite passer, your back to the basket becomes very easy to defend.
Great.
What is
Jokic?
Jokic is the best passer.
I hope you realize that Karl-Anthony Towns a pretty hell of a passer too, and hopefully Mike Brown unlocks that key.
That aids his back to the basket play.
Yes, great.
But
you know what?
NBA
You're right. And a lot of Keem Olajuwon, great elite passer, inside out. They won 2 championships off of that. No, I get it. You got to be Julius Randle, great post up game, elite passer. Do you know? Hold on. The last 5 years, you know who had the most 3-point assists? Okay, hold on. You know who had over the last 5 years? You know who had the most 3-point assists? I'm sure.
What do you mean out of the post?
No, well, 3-point assist, period.
What do you mean? 3-point assist?
Assists on 3-point shots.
Okay, so are you talking about guys who were going back to the basket?
No, I'm just talking about in the NBA period, in the whole league.
I don't know.
It's Luka Doncic. You know who has the second most?
But Luka Doncic posts up a lot.
Well, I know, but you know who has the second most?
He's a great passer. I don't know.
But you know who has the second most?
I don't know. Just tell me.
Julius Randle.
Okay.
Julius Randle. Would shock you, wouldn't it? But because he has a post-up game, and he has a stretch-out game, and he's a pretty good passer for his position. Very underrated.
When the going gets rough, Good teams are going to force him to left, and he can't not pass going left.
I got you, but you know what? The Lakers didn't do it, did they? And you know what?
No,
The
they did.
one
They
thing
had
they
one
did.
player, Brandon.
OKC did.
Was the only player on the team that could do it, and then he kept taking him out the game. So
I got you. OKC did, but the point I made here, right off that, is a yes. A good post-up game, especially now, especially back then, could lead to a lot of three-point shooting. But now we've got to the point where we shoot threes just to shoot threes. We never go inside. And then we've done that for the detriment of the league.
OKC wasn't just shooting threes to shoot threes.
Well, OKC struggles to run offense without SGA.
SGA lives in the paint. A lot of today's best players live in the paint.
I see. I get it. I get it. But at the end of the day, the point I'm making is, and then you said you won your national championship in 2017, and you won it in the league. You won it in an era where big men have now been
two different games. You cannot compare.
No, I get it. I completely get it. But you also done it in an era where the dominant loaded back to the basket big man has been basically extinct.
Was the best big man in college basketball at Utah. He gets an NBA. He's
yeah, I get it. I completely understand. But then that's what I'm saying. I get what you're saying, bro. Look, we really got to end. I know my boy, C-Dub is actually still driving, right? But I gotta get to bed, and I let my fan. But yo, this was a great discussion, man. Like I said, bro, Lamont, you got to have nuanced conversations because we agree on certain things.
Games, man. I really want y'all to go back and rewatch.
Homie, bro, we are two old heads over here.
Don't go off your memory. Rewatch the games.
Yes, I will. I actually have. I actually on vacation. I was watching 96 Bulls versus Knicks.
Don't just stare at the guy scoring. Look at what they're doing off ball on defense. Look at the stuff you don't watch. Please.
Okay. Cool, man. Cool. Look, this was a great. Thanks for pulling up. Thanks for pulling up, Lamar. No doubt. We have our battles. I hope we broke some common ground here, man. We went all over the place. We did give Scottie his love. We did give Scottie his level setting. We probably gonna do another Scottie Pippen show in the near future. Not right away, but look, at the end of the day, bro, we see the game a lot similarly. There's certain things we see differently. But we're not that different at the end of the day. And the fact of the matter is, man, look, basketball is great. Can't wait for them to start. I actually can't wait for summer league, bro. I'm a fucking junkie. Yeah, I want you to understand that. I'm a junkie. Say again.
You need to go. Study
summer league.
Yeah, it's very cheap. Go.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna try. One of these years.
At the end of the day, all them players in the past they retired, man, and what they did, they did, and what they won. What they lost, is history. And like I say, my whole thing for the past, but sometimes it's fun to go back and talk about things sometimes, but it's getting to the point, man, where it just seems like it's stagnant. It's too stagnant, and it's time.
I can't wait to see my sophomores on July 10th.
We'll be able to talk about today's players when people actually start giving them the credit they deserve. Like this OKC team is one of the greatest teams in NBA history. People are afraid to say
they proved it.
Because
I hope you do a show. Hold on, FYF. I hope you do a show on them. I hope you do a show on them soon over the summer. I know it's gonna be slow. It's gonna be times where LeBron will stick his foot in his mouth, so you ain't got to clean up his mess. So you could do that OKC show. Let's see.
I haven't been talking about LeBron. I've been talking about.
I know you haven't. But indirectly, when the kerfluffles come around him and the Kobe gets
see the sports shows, as quiet as it's kept, the sports shows they got the largest platforms, so they dictate the course of the commentary. They talk about
no doubt.
And it's back to the same old. It's back to the same old same.
King Rowe, I've been listening. You won't even believe this, King Rowe, but I've been listening to some of these mainstream talking heads. And I'm almost 1,000% sure that some of them is stole from your takes, my takes, and crazy enough, even Goat James Kingdom takes. I'm telling you, as the more I listen to them, like I want you to go watch this show Marcellus Wiley just did on Kobe. All right.
Okay.
Go watch the show he just did on Kobe. And tell me if he did not copy his whole mock-up verbatim off how I did my show. I promise you, they steal from us.
Bro,
So we
look,
take
look,
what they're
look.
talking about. Because them motherfuckers don't know.
As much as I disagree with you sometimes, right there, I believe it. Because honestly, bro, look, we on YouTube now. We've been having these conversations for years and years in private chats and in these Facebook groups for years, right? Right, JB?
Yep.
Now we weren't on air to say it, but goddamn it, we would say shit. Stephen A comes out 2 months later saying the same shit. You don't want to know what case in point? When Stephen A, because this is what he got in hot water with LeBron for. Stephen A saying the whole thing. And I made the point. I said, look, if you put a boxer like Marvin, actually Joe Frazier did with his son, he put his son in a championship bout with what's his name? You remember what I told you? I see FY pulled off. But when I said when he put his son in a championship bout with Larry Holmes, and Larry Holmes looking at the referee, stop this fight, I'm gonna kill him. Stop this fight, I'm gonna kill him. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Stephen A brought that point up.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't I tell you what if Mayweather did the same thing with his son?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the danger of bringing. And again, I don't know if you wanted to get into that area, but anyway, that was the case in point that I made. Like, and again, we didn't have a platform to say it, but the one thing I do know, and again, I'm agree with Lamont, is some of these mainstream talking heads probably do got their millions out there listening to us just to get good takes that come from on their platform. That's why I say, bro, sky's the limit with this thing, man. Sky's the limit, man. We just got to get better. I know I came up here struggle streaming. I'm gonna try to get better because, bro, this was a great show. It's probably our best show. And I give props to Lamont being as stubborn and hard headed as he is, because he didn't realize most of the time we really agreed, and he didn't even realize when I used his own words about talking about how good defense has physicality in it, and then when I said the Pistons had technique and physicality, he kept going and hacking when he already admitted that part of great defense is physicality. So why are you talking about hacking? I said physicality. I didn't say hacking. That's the problem. When you get stuck on one way or another. But Ramon made a really good point. Yeah, they steal from Go Jays Kingdom. Yeah, they steal from FY. Yeah, they steal from Zay. But guess what, man? We take it. Look, I came on YouTube just to talk good basketball, man, because I don't get it from the play. I'm not going to subscribe to ESPN. Matter of fact, I fucking do subscribe to ESPN when I pay for YouTube TV so I can goddamn watch the games live. But I don't watch their programming because it's horrible. I could talk the game better myself than 90% of them motherfuckers, 95% of them, and we both of us can. And Lamont can, even with his crazy style. Johnny knows it better. Angry, that's why I say we fight because we on one side of our aisle or the next. But at the end of the day, man, look, bro, these cats talk smart. We'll come over here and talk it ourselves. So, man, I hope y'all like and subscribe to this. This is probably the best. This is actually, I counted, this is episode 22 of the 10 Toes Down podcast. Like, congrats to Johnny getting to his 100% 100 episode of the Exposure on Friday Night Exposure. I think tomorrow night would be. I'm not sure if he's doing a show on July 4th, but props to him. You know what I'm saying? I really, if it wasn't for his show, we wouldn't have this show, because it was his show where CW saw me and said, bro, you need to come over here and So look, man, I appreciate it, man. I'm just really trying to do my thing. I'm glad that I was able to do the show. I was almost not going to not do the show because my phone wouldn't charge. I'm doing this shit, but I'm gonna start investing and really getting better at this, man. JB, I told you, man, I'm bringing you with me. And at the end of the day, real talk.
Absolutely, man.
This is a great show, bro. We'll chop it up, and I'm gonna let C-Dub know, bro. You ready to We ready to wrap this up, man. C-Dub, have a safe trip, bro. And
I appreciate it.
y'all
Appreciate it,
all
CJ.
y'all have a great holiday. Great holiday.
Everybody do the same now.